This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
Hi, folks. Tim Kitzer here, the voice of NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, reporting live that Scott Clark is heating up. Wait, no, it can't be. The Gaming Outsider is all here, and they're on fire. Kaboom!
Hey, goers, for this week's episode, in honor of the release of Jedi Survivor, we want to talk about your favorite locations in Star Wars video games. In news, Twisted Metal has a new trailer for the upcoming TV series, and God help us all, we have more to talk about with the Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. You'll also hear our impressions of Jedi Survivor. Alyssa played a narrative game called Varney Lake, and she also played the DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. Even Scott Clark himself graces us with his presence to talk about an indie game, V Hunter Puzzler DX. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs. Welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It's Sunday, April 30th. I am Zack Parkerson, the runner-up host, and joining me today is Alyssa White.
Oh, hello.
How do you do?
Runner-up host.
That's me. Second best. Story of my life.
Does that make me the... What number am I in this? I'm probably number 4, right? I gotta be number 4.
Let's take a poll and just ruin all of our egos. What do you think?
Well, I'm the newest one, so I would say I'm probably number 4. But
Seniority. Well, possibly number 3 or 4. CB is also here.
Oh no! Let's get this right. I'm the scraping the bottom of the barrel.
You're like, there's only 4 entrants on the poll, but somehow you end up in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm under the barrel, buried 6 feet down.
Well, I have to assume that just based on his seniority, because he's kind of an institution at 90 years old, that if we did the poll, he would have to get he would probably get like 98% of the votes, because everybody just kind of like, feels bad for the guy.
Well, I mean, it's.
Well, I know people love you and Scott
he's
a lot.
100% of the vote.
Right.
Like, you even have your own fan group, Zack.
Yeah, but Scott Clark, he's a part of it. He's separate from us,
But Scott is our golden retriever.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
So really, it's just a competition between me and CB trying to win over people's hearts.
So wait, if Scott's a golden retriever, does that make like Zack a Chihuahua?
Oh no, nope, don't like that.
Very aggressive.
Not a fan.
I don't like Chihuahuas either, and I like Zack very much, so he's not a Chihuahua.
I feel like I'd be some
boxer.
kind of.
I will give you a boxer.
Boxer. I was thinking some kind of lazy shepherding dog, perhaps, just sitting at the edge of the frontier, making sure cows don't go too far. Something.
If you want to be a border collie, I love border collies.
They see too much energy.
Yeah, I don't think Zack has that kind of energy.
I'm thinking like a Great Pyrenees, right? I'm on the edge of the.
I love those as well.
I'm at the edge of the range of if someone comes in too near me, then I'll get mad. But otherwise, I'm just kind of like I'm too tired to care.
Those are great dogs.
Yeah,
you can have it.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, now that's out of the way, Alyssa, how are you doing?
Much better now that I'm with you guys, and now I'm wondering what dog I am, because I'm like,
I don't know.
We started this
very happy-go-lucky dog.
Okay. I was gonna say, if anyone calls me a dachshund, I'm sorry, those are my least favorite dogs. My stepdad has one, okay?
I can see you as more of a corgi.
I love corgis, so I will take that.
Yeah, you can be a corgi, but I'm mad. It's more like a corgi drawn by Rare, if you know what I mean, like a sexy corgi.
Oh, okay.
Because they draw all of their characters. All of their characters are always weirdly set. You remember the Sunflower and Conquer that had giant knockers, for instance?
I do remember the Sunflower.
Dude, Rare.
I don't know. As soon as you said Rare, I thought of like Banjo Kazooie. I'm like, a corgi like that?
I was thinking of of also Crystal. It just seems like they design all their female characters with one hand over there. But anyway, CB's some kind of big. You think he's like a pit bull? What is this guy?
I don't know.
Alyssa, I don't know.
I mean, CB's a big teddy bear.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. But you guys know him better.
Being just a big old bear.
You want to be
an actual bear? You're not even a dog. You're a bear.
Yep, I'm just a bear.
He's like a Saint Bernard. That's kind of like a bear of a dog.
You know what? They help people. They help people, and CB helps people.
And CB looks like he'd be a great cuddler. And St. Bernards are great cuddlers. There you go.
I'm okay with this.
Now that we've got that settled.
Okay,
CB,
we've got all of our dog breeds settled.
How are you doing this week, CB?
Oh, it's been a week, but you know what? I got lots of gaming in, and I built some Legos, so it's been a good week.
That sounds like heaven for you.
It has been.
All right. Well, yeah. Scott's not here. He's on some kind of cruise with 3 other men getting wasted. Whatever 4 drunk men do together is what's happening there.
I have no knowledge of this topic, so
I have a few guesses.
Somebody's probably wearing a Speedo.
Someone's done some weirdly frat boy stuff, no doubt. But anyway, our April game giveaway is over. Darren Allen won our copy of Star Wars Jedi Survivor on Xbox Series X. He's claimed to agree to pass it off to a community member. I don't know why our community is cooler than I am. I'd be keeping that stuff, but it's much appreciated.
Yeah,
well, that's because you want a physical copy of every Star Wars game.
Of course, yeah. Doesn't everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have one for this one, but not yet.
I don't either.
Anyway, but also we have an interview with Doc Mack and Craig Bass on the site. It's like Ghost Lord and the Quest for the Dark Presence. That's a movie, right? That Scott did an interview for. So
it's like, yeah.
Be on the lookout for that. While we're advertising our stuff, R2V2 coming October 14th of this year. Sissy Jones is coming. CB's very excited that John St. John is coming. Allegedly, and I'm not making any promises here, but I guess a wedding's going to take place.
Possibly.
With John St. John officiating, if everything comes together. I guess, as long as it works out for the lucky couple.
Yeah, things and stuff, man.
Y'all know the lucky couple?
No.
I don't.
Okay, I was like, when I saw this, I'm like, do we know who these people are?
I roughly know names and things because this was set up through John.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was curious. I'm like, did I not get an invite?
Do you think instead of Kiss the Bride, he will simply go, shake it, baby?
That would be cool.
Dear God, I hope so.
That seems the most appropriate. He just looks at the husband and says, you got balls of steel.
That'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
Yes, it would. I'm actually excited because I'm going to make Sissy sign my copy of Jedi Survivor.
Okay, who does she play in the game?
She apparently plays like a couple different voices. I just found this out like yesterday.
Very cool.
I just want to hug Sissy because I actually talked to her one time when I was still doing YouTube. Lovely, lovely woman. I would love to hug her.
Did like an interview?
Yeah, it was just a little chat. I used to
That's cool.
Chat with some voice actors and other people in the industry before I stopped doing YouTube.
Right, yeah. Now you're slumming it with us.
You guys are the best.
It sounds like you could be doing better.
I don't think so.
Same.
I'm very low on the totem pole.
No.
I mean, but here's the thing. You're on the totem pole.
Maybe I'm the very bottom, like, in the cheerleader pyramids, one of those people on the bottom that's supporting everyone else on the top.
But that's the thing. You have to have a strong base of support.
That's true.
So
Or
it's the ones at the top that you just like. It's the ones at the top that you're like, eh. They just climbed up there on the back of everybody else.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, the metaphor's really working out because we're keeping Scott afloat. You're saying?
Maybe. I mean, who else would be here while he's off
and
cavorting out in the Caribbean
with a bunch of D's? Well, and as usual, head cheerleader is the one who gets all the credit. So, Scott, you're the head cheerleader. Alyssa, what have you been playing? What have you been catching up on this week?
Well, besides the review games we'll talk about, because I'm pretty much taking up the whole review section besides one game, which we're all sharing.
You're a busy bee.
Yeah, I am, yeah. I'm still playing Fire Emblem Engage. I know it's taking me forever to finish this game. I just played out, and
I assume it's like a 90-hour game, right? Or am I crazy?
It's, I think, around 60 if you just go through the main story, I believe. I'm just playing like an hour before bed every night, usually. I am on chapter 21 out of 26, though, so getting closer to the end. But the story has really picked up now, and it's so good. I'm really enjoying it. It's just, it's a relaxing yet stressful experience before bed, because sometimes you're really sacrificing your troops, which I'm not. I'm on weenie mode, so people don't actually die permanently. I couldn't handle it if it was permadeath.
Well, so people always call that weenie mode, but I think most permadeath players just restart the battle when they lose somebody anyway.
Probably.
So really, what's the difference?
Yeah, there's no difference, really.
Yeah.
Unless you actually stick with it and just let everyone die.
But as long as you're having fun, that's what matters.
That's true. And I'm having fun with it, so still playing. I'm going to finish it one day.
I believe
Maybe
you.
this year.
Well, if you would stop reviewing games for us constantly, you might be able to squeeze something in for yourself.
That's true, but I have too much fun reviewing games. I know I'm overachieving with this as well.
Right. Well, yeah, somebody has to.
But it makes me happy, so that's why I do it.
You know what? If it makes you happy, do it to it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what makes me happy? I think it's the same thing to making CB happy. Hogwarts Legacy, am I right?
I'm still chipping away at it, man. It's still like burrowed into my mind.
Yeah, it's just fun, and there's something. It's not super difficult to like check off the lists or whatever, and because the lists are fun stuff like catching magical beasts and stuff, it compels me to want to do a lot of the side stuff in the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the few games that I really do want to 100%.
Yeah, I feel you.
And so like I'm getting to that point where I'm like, okay, a few more story missions left, and like I look at the list of like achievements because there's a lot of them that's like do this like X number of times. There's a lot of them that I'm like really close to.
So you think
I've almost found all the field pages? So
really, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, there is.
I couldn't believe there's like 90 Merlin trials in this game.
Yeah, I think I'm more than halfway through those too.
Right, man. There's so much going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get the full map too, you're just like, oh, there's so much crap.
But it's really fun. I guess I see it's a little bit of that checklisting stuff that I normally don't like, but I guess it's the setting that's doing it for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's just cool world.
Yeah, it's different for being like so open world. It's just a little different,
right?
Because the last big open world like this that had a lot of nature in it was what was it? The second Mordor game. And
Oh
I was
yeah!
like,
whoa, Shadow
yeah.
of War.
I was like, this is. At first, I was worried it was going to be the same thing, but then I'm like, okay, this plays a little better.
Yeah, what a throwback, Shadow of War. So nobody talks about that game.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as good as the first one, but
It was not. Nope.
No,
Sure
it
wasn't. Too much. It's just a good example of you can go too big.
yeah, you can.
We'll talk about that later. What do you think, guys? You jumping into the news?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
All right. In terms of new games and trailers, etc., announcements, Flashback 2 got a new trailer coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. That's a sequel to a very old game. I think it looks pretty good. You don't get a lot of cinematic platformers anymore, like the 2D kind of ones, like Prince of Persia-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Another World, etc. Armored Core 6: Fires of the Rubicon got a new trailer. That's also coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, PC, August 25th. I'm very excited to see how that game turns out coming from Software. Unfortunately, the UK is trying to block Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, so that'll be fun to talk about, I'm sure. New PS5 is getting a Final Fantasy 16 themed console, just to rub it in their face that exclusives do matter. Freebies for PlayStation Plus and games for Gold were announced, and Twisted Metal finally got a teaser trailer, guys, which I'm curious about. But I want to leave it in Alyssa's hands. What do you want to talk about first here?
I just want to talk about the PS5 that's Final Fantasy 16 themed, which it's actually just a standard PS5 to my knowledge. It's not actually.
So the box
around?
looks that way, but I've seen images, right, of it looking all fancy schmancy.
I've seen faceplates, but it said they could be Japan exclusive. No one knows for sure yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm glad you're here then, because that is unclear. But a lot of what PlayStation does this day and age seems intentionally unclear.
Yeah, and also you don't get a physical a physical copy of the game with this, you get a digital code.
Which is hilarious when it's the physical disc console.
It is. But if you wanted to get this bundle, pre-orders start on May the 4th, which Star Wars Day, and releases on June 22nd.
I'll be visiting. They're playing the game. CB, I'm sorry, you were saying.
I think this thing is dumb.
Yeah?
I'm sorry. If you're going to do a box thing, like, make the console stylized.
Yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, it's just a bundle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss, like, back in, like, the 360 PS3 era when it's like, hey, we're making another bundle. More things. Because both of them did that. And now it just... You can't tell me it's that hard to, like, slap a different faceplate on. It doesn't take that much tooling to do.
Well, especially if they're doing it in Japan already.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the one that is going to be in Japan, it looks beautiful. Both the controller and the faceplates for the PS5. Really cool.
I mean,
black gold.
it just feels like all everybody does anymore is just the controllers. Like,
Do you
we made a controller. Cool.
Maybe it's because they know American consumers is just this thing will sell out anyway. So what do they need to try for?
Yeah, but I like the prettiness. I mean, the Switch, they keep pumping those things out there. Like, we made another one.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly with you. I wish it was fancy, and they should go the extra effort. But if you're Sony sitting there going like, we could charge extra for this and probably make a pretty penny.
Oh.
I think it'd be the exact same thing. People buy it.
And everybody, and you wonder why I'm so irritated with them this time around.
Yeah, they're not nice. Jim Ryan, not a nice man.
You can't even get a physical copy of the game with it.
It's so weird when it's the disc drive console to do that.
Yes, it is the disc drive console as well, according to the picture here.
Right?
Yeah, no. That's the actual. It's the disc drive one.
Yeah.
Because I just looked up on oh god, what's the one website that I always order from that like does all the Japanese exclusives? PlayAsia. PlayAsia has placeholders for this already.
Yeah.
So, and they do have like the US version and the everybody else. It seems like anymore the US gets crapped on for some of these, like the Zelda Steelbook that the European people got for Link's Awakening that we didn't. They're like, have an art book.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe those divisions actually care, and America certainly doesn't.
No, it really doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah. Unfortunately, why would
I
they?
agree.
Same reason Jedi Survivor launches broken on PC. Why would they care if you're going to buy it anyway?
Or the fact to get the collector's edition, you have to order it through limited run.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's also absurdly expensive.
Yeah. I hate limited run anymore. I really do.
They're getting out of hand. Well, because you get the Cal Kestis replica lightsaber, right? But it's cheaper if you just went to Galaxy's Edge and got one.
Yeah.
That's not good. Anyway.
So it's cheaper just to go to Disney World or Disneyland?
Well, it's probably not, maybe not
you don't
the
even
ticket.
need to do that. You can go online and go to like shopdisney.com, and there are people that go into Disney and buy the stuff and then put it up on this other website, and they're like, look, just buy it.
Yeah, if you had a season pass, you live in Florida, that's you could make a killing just doing that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, geniuses.
I know a few people that do that because I had to replace the blade in my lightsaber, and you couldn't just order one, you had to go.
Right, you actually went and picked yours out and everything, right?
Oh yeah.
It's got like a Rancor tooth, is that right?
Yep, mine has a Rancor tooth.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So, but it's just so irritating that if like, oh, the blade piece broke, it doesn't work anymore. Oh, Disney's like, oh well, then you can come back and buy another one.
You want a new one?
No, that's okay.
Pony up.
I will find somebody to go there for me who has season passes and give them the money and they can buy it there.
Hell yeah, dude. What a job. But enough about crappy consoles. CB, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, let's get it out of the way and talk about the acquisition.
Oh, you're a brave man. Oh boy.
Yes, you are.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
It
Because
is.
every single news source in the UK and a lot of the people there who were part of this was like, yep, we just want to get the ducks in a row. Everything's going to go good. Like, Microsoft's going to do their thing and then we'll approve it. And then they're like, nope, not. We don't want to approve it anymore.
Right. So the Competition and Markets Authority, that's the CMA we're talking about in the UK. They moved to block the acquisition. They're the people that look out for antitrust violations. Their argument is that it would harm competition in the cloud. What? What a strange.
There's competition in the cloud?
Yeah. Sorry, PlayStation doesn't even have anything. So what are you talking about?
So they're blocking a merger based on a theoretical marketplace. Interesting. Microsoft is definitely going to appeal the decision. Although if it doesn't wind up happening, they still have to pay Activision $3 billion. So it's a win-win for Bobby Kotick, of course. But I do think it's important to note that Ukraine, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Serbia, Chile, Japan, and South Africa have already approved the deal. I feel like if Japan approved, shouldn't they be kind of concerned as well? But
Japan, the where Sony is based, is like, screw it, we don't care.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what really pisses me off. Why? These are US based companies. Why the hell should anybody outside the US have any say in this?
Yeah, I don't know enough about why it has to be approved by a bunch of different nations. I just don't know enough.
Politics.
Yeah, well, if you're basing it based on cloud, I would say some kind of politic or backroom deals were going on, because that's just absurd. But yeah, because if you're Microsoft, right, why wouldn't you just be like, I guess we just won't do business in the UK, and then now you put them in a weird position, right?
Yeah,
I mean that makes sense, but
you could use your corporate weight to leverage out of the whole situation if you wanted to.
It's so confusing. And first off, Brazil didn't even really matter.
No,
because, I don't even know if the consoles are really widely available in Brazil yet.
It's fair enough. I just wanted to list, that it is getting approval, because we only ever talk about the American one and the CMA. FTC, right? FTC?
yes.
Yeah, the FTC.
Yeah, okay.
Which, from everything I heard about that, like, they're doing their trial later this year, but for the most part, it sounds like that's going to go through fairly easily because they've already self-corrected a lot of the problems that they put forward.
Right. I mean, right. Yeah, they did something. They just announced something with a cloud partnership. Xbox did to like bring their games to other cloud streaming services. So yeah, they're making every concession imaginable in the UK and everywhere else. And again, I don't want this merger to go through. I think it's better for the industry if it doesn't. I think it's better for our future as a society if less mergers occur. However, in a world where Disney buys Fox with no problems, or pharmaceutical companies buy out each other with no scrutiny, it doesn't make any sense that this is the one that's gone too far.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me. Bigger acquisitions have happened for things when it's pharmaceutical, when lives are on the line with a pharmaceutical company creating a monopoly on insulin or adrenaline or whatever. That's fine. No problem. We can let people die. But if, whoa. You can't play Call of Duty on PlayStation? Alleged, not even really, but you might one day maybe not get to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. This is where we have to draw the line, guys.
Yeah, it is very irritating to just watch, like, again, U.S. companies being regulated by companies outside the U.S. to the point that it's like, oh yeah, like your company and your company want to merge, which could potentially be good for both companies, but because Sony's apparently paying off somebody in the UK courts, because that's what it really feels like. It really feels that they're like, hey, because we're based out of Japan, we could bribe you, and there's not a thing you can do about this.
Right. Yeah. I hate to be conspiratorial, but it feels the most likely scenario because this just seems like nonsense.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
And it just, I really hope that going forward, like any merger that like Sony tries to do for anything, even outside of their gaming division, I hope Microsoft just comes down like just a meteor. Like, oh, Sony can't make like the panels for their TVs anymore, and they're gonna buy this company. No, that we don't want that. That's gonna damage the industry.
And if the deal does go through, every time they get wind of a deal where like Square Enix, like let's make Final Fantasy 16 exclusive, they should be like, we'll double it, make it Xbox exclusive. They should it's not going to end well, no matter how this goes.
And that's where I really feel that this is headed. If this gets to the point that it does just completely kill the deal, Microsoft is going to come back because they are like one of the largest companies in the world now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like bar none. And Sony's not even like in the top 10.
Exactly. Like it's going to get worse because we already live in a world where PlayStation, somehow gets an exclusive KOTOR remake or whatever. But if Xbox's deal on this goes through, you don't think they're going to fire back with other ones?
Just a KOTOR. There's so many things that are like
Silent Hill, Final Fantasy 16, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy one irritates the piss out of me because it seems like every other one is exclusive to Sony.
Right. Well, yeah, where the 7 remake series is exclusive to PlayStation, but not the spin-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Or what's going to happen next is they're going to we're going to do a remake of 8, and that's going to be on all consoles, but then 9 is only going to be on PlayStation. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like every other one. Because I remember for a while that they were talking like Resident Evil 2, it's only going to be available on Sony.
Yeah.
And people fought back. And then they tried to do the same thing with 3. So I'm really willing to bet if this falls through, Microsoft's going to be like, every acquisition they try to do, they're going to be like, nah, we're going to buy them instead.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
But then Sony's going to be like, oh, well, we're going to fight it. It's ruining everything. They really feel like they're just the kid in kindergarten that somebody came over and took like the red crayon. And they're like, we were using you were drawing with blue. Like, but I needed the red crayon in like 4 minutes.
It's really funny in the same news cycle that Sony managed to block Microsoft's attempt to buy their way into success, whilst also they're putting out a PS5 that is a result of them buying their way to success.
That's true.
Yeah. And last week they bought an entire company just to do multiplayer for them.
Right, yes, yeah. Bought it before they could even make a game.
So yeah, you can't sit here and talk out one side of your mouth while complaining on the other.
Well, while we're ragging on PlayStation, let me get you guys' thoughts on the Twisted Metal trailer.
Stupid.
I actually haven't seen it, but I'm not a fan of the poster, so...
Dude, I'm sorry. This was one of the dumbest teasers I have ever seen.
I'm curious
Anthony Mackie in a car. Like, oh, it's on. I'm going to drive down this road with nothing but trees on either side and like some flashes of lights in the trees. And then they show Las Vegas and Sweet Tooth. And the production quality didn't look good.
I will say it looked cheap. Yeah, it looked cheap.
This feels like something I would expect on like mid 1990s sci-fi.
It looks like do you remember the PlayStation Plus exclusive television show Powers?
Yes.
I never watched it, but I remember it.
It gives me those vibes in terms of budget and quality. Now, I'm not as negative as CB is, and Alyssa, I'm sorry I didn't watch the trailer. But the poster's zany energy is it seems appropriate for the trailer. The trailer was just bizarre because it was this total teaser trailer, and like this appeals to nobody, this trailer, because if you're a Twisted Metal fan, you're annoyed that this new character you've never heard of is starring in it. and you don't know their take. And then if you're a non-gamer, you're just like, well, I don't know what the show is about based on this 1 minute teaser. It was just a weird
guy
weird
driving
debut.
away in Fast and the Furious style car, shooting some guns, and then a clown.
Yeah, because you only get one chance at a first impression, and this seems like it would appeal to nobody. I think the idea of a post-apocalyptic take on Twisted Metal sounds fun. Like, turn it into like a comedy about because if I remember the synopsis correctly, he's like a courier, a package courier in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. I'm like, that sounds fun, but having to compete with all the Twisted Metal characters, absolutely. And I don't mind the comedy angle. I think,
but see, that's where I feel that whoever's writing the show dropped the ball, because they're like, oh, he's a courier. He's going to be driving through these areas and just randomly encounter these people in their like areas.
Yeah, a little turf.
So I'm like, it's not even going to really be Twisted Metal. It's going to be like, oh, flavor of the week, this guy versus this guy. Battle bots, go.
Right, but that doesn't seem that different than if it was an arena combat show where it would be a different enemy every week. I don't think the premise is inherently terrible, because I don't think Twisted Metal ever took its lore seriously enough to warrant like some kind of 1-to-1 translation. It's just it's a
weird
great
property to be doing in the first place.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I agree with that, yeah.
Although if it gets us a new Twisted Metal game, it's worth the sacrifice.
Why waste? See, here's the thing. Why waste the money on a show when you could have just made another game?
Well, because I'm sure PlayStation got a licensing fee, and now someone else can waste their money.
It's dumb. I don't
know. I doubted the Uncharted movie, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to try to remain optimistic about Twisted Metal. Anthony Mackie doesn't really give me like main character energy.
First off, I'm wildly surprised that he's even doing this, because like I've heard about those Marvel contracts, and I'm like, if Anthony Mackie's doing Marvel stuff, how is he doing this?
Why? Because of all the cursing, or what do you mean?
No, like like Robert Downey Jr., there was like very limited things that he was allowed to do when he was under contract, and they're like, you can't do anything action related. You might get hurt and ruin our franchise.
Oh, well, maybe he doesn't do stunts.
Yeah. Well, they're just like, he's the face of the next Captain America movie. So I'm just like, weird.
Scott wanted to write in with his take, so let's tear that apart. He says, Twisted Metal wasn't a comedy to me. Sure, it was a ridiculous concept, but the themes were dark enough with genuinely fun story possibilities. I don't want to laugh out loud at a show based on the series unless it's just because the gore is over the top. I feel like Twisted Metal always was a bit of a dark comedy, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that vibe too.
I saw Axel being tortured in between two giant wheels he's attached to, and I'm like, that is a hilarious look for a character.
Twisted Metal falls into the same type of category that like Shaun of the Dead would be in. Like, just dark gore comedy that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, and I think Twisted Metal Black, which is a lot of people's favorites, mine included, was definitely had a harder edge to it, but it was still kind of a black comedy.
Yeah. So
now the vibe of the show looks a little more lulls than the game's comedy was, though. So I'll give him that. I'll give him credit on that.
I think Anthony Mackie would have made a better Axel.
Yeah. I don't feel like, has he been in the lead in a lot of stuff? I guess outside of the Falcon show.
He's been in a few.
Okay.
But
I just haven't been watching the right stuff.
I mean, he's never been like the top. He's a mid B to like upper B tier.
Right.
I've been trying to think if I could just remember him in 8 Mile.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, he definitely wasn't the main character there.
No.
Was he in Pain and Gain? Was that him? No.
No, that
Pain
was
and Gain.
Who the hell was that movie even about?
Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlberg.
Well, that doesn't narrow things down.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So I'm getting a cold reception on this show from you guys.
I mean, I'll give it a chance. I need to watch the trailer.
Fair enough.
It's a Peacock original, so I hope you have the app.
I sure do.
Yeah,
That's where that's where Yellowstone is.
that's a show that does not appeal to me. So
Well,
And
Poker
also-
Face is also on
Right.
there, and that's a good show. Really
Yeah.
great show.
No, that show's phenomenal, but it's also over.
Well, there's
For
going to be
now.
a season 2. Yeah.
No, of
but-
course, I'm saying you don't need to be subscribed throughout the year just waiting
Oh,
for Poker Face.
No.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Whatever. I think I'll watch it. I'll let you know. Stay tuned. But as you guys know, we're an independently funded podcast, which means we must pay for our podcast hosting services, website, all on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where fans can contribute monthly to help offset the cost of production as well as give back to the community. If you'd like to help out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. Patreon starting at the $3 a month level gets some bonus episode. Alyssa, what is available for those members?
Well, if you're at the $5 a month tier, you can listen to the first episode of Peace of Mind, which is where Zack, Scott, and I just talk about whatever's on our minds. And it is R-rated, so be aware of that. It's uncensored. We just talk about whatever. It was a blast. Can't wait to do it again. Maybe we
Right.
can get CB in on one of those.
Oh, you don't want the depths of my mind.
I'll say I don't know if I necessarily want a piece of his mind.
That's a dark and scary place.
The audience might want it, though.
Ooh.
It would go from R-rated to NC-17 in a flash.
It probably would.
That's why it's at the $5 a month tier.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple of upcoming episodes as well. Desert Island Games with Sean Coates, and the trade-off episode with Grandia 2 and Robotrek.
Right. And again, go to patreon.com/thegocast to sign up for that stuff. But let's talk about the games that are brand new or want to talk about. Well, I guess right at the top, I should let you know what's coming out, huh? Hogwarts Legacy. Can you believe it? Finally comes to PS4 and Xbox One May 5th. Hoo boy, I can't wait to see what those look like.
I'm legitimately worried about that one a little.
I think it is probably just more load screens. It's not like the game is, blowing you away visually when you're playing it.
If the transition to like Hogwarts to outside of Hogwarts takes my Series X a few seconds to load,
Right.
I can't imagine.
They'll have to cut to a load screen on PS4.
Or just how choppy that's going to be flying around as it's loading the area in front of you.
That I believe. I can't wait for the Switch version. That's going to be a delight to see.
Oh, just immediately downgrade that to 720p.
I mean, yeah, it's
and
going
hope
to
for
look like
best.
it's going to look like the hilarious Witcher 3 version on Switch. Or he's got smooth faces and stuff. Demon Skin 2D platformer coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, May 5th. Death or Treat, an adorable looking Halloween-themed platformer coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC May 5th. Darkest Dungeon 2 finally leaves early access and hits 1.0 on PC May 8th. Panorama is a fun city-building puzzler coming to PC May 9th. Ease 9, the recently released entry of the long-running franchise, Ease 9 Monster Knocks, gets a PS5 port on May 9th. Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth is a character RPG battler on mobile. If you've played, Marvel Strike Force, it's just that with Lord of the Rings characters. Coming to iOS, Android, May 10th. Fuga Melodies of Steel 2, sequel to the sleeper hit Fuga Melodies of Steel, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC May 11th. And Space Engineers comes to PS5 and PS4 May 11th, which seems to be about building some kind of space satellite. CB, which game are you intrigued with this week?
None.
Fair.
Not one.
You just want to play more Star Wars.
I'm pretty sure, like, looking at this list, every single developer was like, we are staying away from this week because we know we don't have a chance.
Nobody wants to release in between Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that's
a bad place to be.
release window.
Yeah, you were putting your game out to die. Alyssa, though, is anything intriguing you?
Sadly, no. Nothing has tickled my fancy on this list.
I would love to tickle your fancy. So, I've been intrigued in Fuga because I've heard so many good things. Like it says, like even though when you watch the trailer, it's like a bunch of furry kids. I've heard it's like strangely dark.
I did like the visuals of the trailer, but whoever narrated that trailer, I'm sorry,
didn't do it for you.
No, just didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. I think I am probably going to download the Lord of the Rings mobile game just to see how ridiculous it is. Just to see how ridiculous it is. Because I've had joy with the Marvel. You know what? You're right. You talk me out. I don't need it.
Yeah, don't be that.
No.
Don't be that masochistic.
I'm sorry. It doesn't look good.
No, you're right. I'm not going to enjoy it. It'll be the same thing.
Not needed.
Like Marvel Strike Force, DC Legends, all these games before it, where I play them for like an hour. I'm like, yep, it's just like all the other ones, and then stop. You're right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach. I'm gonna throw myself in front of that bus for you. Like, don't do this.
I'm happy you guys are here because if the near version of that kind of game couldn't get me to keep playing it, certainly the Lord of the Rings wasn't gonna do nothing. Yeah. I need something on my phone, guys. It's not Twitter. So I gotta stop scrolling that thing. It's just
it just makes you sad.
Yeah,
I have plenty of followers on Twitter, and I even stopped opening that. So
I mean, it's getting worse with the new blue checkmark system where they get to be the top comments,
and they're horrible.
There's some real depravity. Turns out the kind of people who pay $8 a month for a blue icon next to their name are also the kind of people who are mentally deranged.
It's feeling a bit like the old days of B on 4chan.
Yes. Oh, Lord. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you guys. Nothing really here catching my eyes overall then. So, because I assume we're all busy playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
Yes.
And I have another game I have to play that I can't talk about.
Okay. Well, geez, bragging over there.
No, I'm just overachieving.
But I'm playing on PS5. I think Alyssa's also playing on PlayStation.
I'm actually playing on Xbox.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Get it.
Oh, boy. All right. Got a couple of Xbox braggers here. All right, guys. This is a big release. We're all very excited for it, I assume. Because Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came out of nowhere. Really blew a lot of people away. Definitely blew me away. Big time. Love that game. Love Cal Kestis, the whole crew. Where do we even begin on this one?
This story is a very slow start.
Yes.
But at least to me, it's interesting because I'm the person with the least amount of time put in this game. I'm only 2.5 hours in.
Are you off of the intro planet?
Yes, I'm on. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know because I'm out of where you start the game onto a different planet.
Are you on
that's
Kobo?
What you're talking. Yes, Kobo.
Okay, you're on Kobo. Okay.
I didn't know if I was supposed to say the name or not.
Yeah, I think saying the name's okay. Also,
okay.
I don't know. The game opens on a major city planet that's famous to the Star Wars universe. I thought the intro kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree. Alyssa, I don't know if you felt that way.
I didn't think it sucked, but I wasn't like in love with the intro. It was just kind of in the middle.
Especially when you compare it to the amazing intro of Fallen Order.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't have the same impactful beginning.
Right.
Mostly they're like, oh, you should know these characters. And already they're name dropping people straight out the gate.
Yeah, which is surely to imply that Cal's had many adventures that we're not seeing. But it was just when I think some people die, but it's I don't care, it's cool that Cal cares, but I don't know these people.
I feel that this is a Halo problem.
Halo problem.
Oh, did you want to know what happened? Because if you didn't read the book, sorry, you missed something.
Well,
okay.
Because remember, there's the book that they put out to tie Fallen Order to Survivor.
That's true.
Forgot to read it.
I read
I did as well. I forgot about it.
I read like 50 pages of it and thought it was some of the worst written Star Wars fiction I've ever experienced and couldn't get through it, which is depressing when it's
one of the best characters.
Yeah, it was the best crews. It was just so, I don't know.
I gotta find the Cliff's Notes version of this.
It felt like it was written by like maybe like a 14 or 15-year-old girl, if that kind of explains it. That's what it felt like. Anyway, I don't recommend that book to anybody. In fact, if you love this story and these characters, you should probably stay away.
But here's the problem. I need to skim through it because there's been a couple character interactions that I'm like, I feel like I missed something, and it's really bothering me.
Well, hey, if you can power through it, maybe you'll like it. You know, maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe it's like a Tom Clancy book where like the first third of it is such a slog that the back half is great.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm like Zack though. If a book doesn't get me hooked within 50 to 100 pages, I just drop it because I'm like, I don't want to keep torturing myself.
So I'm just waiting for the audiobook version. Somebody can read it to me.
I'm sure it's out there. Anyway, back to the intro of this game. Just kind of, I don't know, starts a little wonky. I do like that you start with all your abilities that you ended the first game with. That's super cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But it's just, it's like a cold intro action scene because it doesn't seem like that story really has a lot to do with it. But it was also just kind of like you said, written sloppily or I don't know if you said that, but I've been thinking it was written really poorly because like there's that moment where, you know, the plan starts to go off and you're on the run with your side character Bode. I feel comfortable we can say the name Bode because he's
should be Bodhi.
Sure. Well, that wouldn't be Star Wars enough, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was also a character named Bodhi in Rogue One. Bodhi Rook.
Oh.
So they probably didn't want to have two Bodhis.
But you're on the run with this character and you have to like build a piece of equipment to progress, but then he just weirdly, awkwardly shoves his backstory down your throat. It was so bizarre.
It was very just out of nowhere feeling. Like, I'm like, oh, who's this dude? Like, oh, hi, Bode.
But that leads, and I don't know if you guys got this vibe, but as soon as I saw the daughter character, I was like, well, this guy's going to betray you.
The which character?
When Bode told you about his backstory, and I was like, well, he's going to betray you for the sake of this character. Like, it just felt like a big red neon sign of like, well, don't get attached to this guy. And that to me speaks a lot to, I think the writing overall is sloppier in this game than the first game.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting because the first game was written pretty masterfully, I thought, or even there's a bit of, I don't think you guys have gotten, well, CB probably has, but there's a bit of a romantic subplot to this game. And it builds off some stuff from the first game, but whereas it used to be subtle, now it is
your face.
Weirdly in your face to the point where like a character will say something about like, yeah, I've been thinking about you. And then like in the next scene says, I just haven't been able to stop thinking about you. And you're like, what? You just said that. What are you doing?
That was what I was hinting towards. Like, I feel like something happened in that book.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it did.
Like,
but I'm just saying the quality of the writing. Like, why are these characters saying the same thing 10 minutes apart like that?
Yeah.
They just have to drive the point home that they can't stop thinking about it.
It's just a little...
It's forced. It's so
I know.
forced.
Yes,
I know.
and it's still like good writing overall for video games, right? It's just... I thought the first game was written so well that to see it kind of stumble in ways I wouldn't have expected. I would have thought it would have been more refined in the sequel. But it's just...
I mean,
it's
you would think it would be.
Yeah.
You'd hope so. So AJ, my older son, he watched me play through almost all of Fallen Order. So he's familiar with the backstory. He loved watching the first game because he's like, it was watching a movie. He saw that I booted up the game. I was starting everything. And he was already calling out plot points that hadn't happened yet. He's like, this guy is clearly not a bad guy. This guy is clearly going to do this. And I'm like, the fact that a 15-year-old is already like ruining like plot points just goes to show that the writing is definitely subpar so far. I'm hoping it improves But again, like they said, they wanted to stretch this game out because people were complaining that the first game wasn't long enough. So let's stretch it out. And I feel by doing that, it's dropped the quality
I think you're right.
of this so much.
I think
I'm like, you guys.
Sorry, I think because it seems like they're trying to lengthen things. It does feel like you go so much longer in between plot points that maybe they just feel like, oh, maybe we got to remind them that they can't stop thinking about each other. But it just leads to this weird. So far, and I could be wrong, okay, because I am like 12, 13 hours in, but so far it feels like a 15-hour story that they are stretching into 30 hours.
I'm going to easily agree with that because have you noticed a lot of the awkward silences during cutscenes where it's just like somebody will say something, cut, pan to other character, wait 5 seconds, character responds, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, gotta load their thoughts in.
This is the first time a brand new game with a story that I care about that I'm like, I feel like I need to skip the cutscenes because after the cutscenes, they still talk about what they said in the cutscene.
Yes, that they do that, especially when you're with a companion character, and I really want to tear my hair out. I
haven't experienced this yet because 2.5 hours in, so now I get to look forward to it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of redundant writing happening, and it is frustrating. But if on a more positive note, Karen Monahan is killing it as Cal. I think Cal is good in this game. I think you can, he looks like he's wearing the 5 years on the run on him. He's like got these perpetually tired eyes, but even
like the scar work.
Yeah, and the scars, which I appreciate that the facial hair reflects when you change it. But it's he's doing great, and it's a darker kind of Cal. He seems more ready to do the wrong thing for the sake of the right course, I guess. But so it's definitely some good stuff I think happening with Cal. It's just the story he is in does not so far seem as good as the first game. I hope I'm proven wrong by the end. But
I'm really hoping that it picks up. There's so like I don't want to nitpick on this game, man. Like this is one of my favorite like extended universes, and like I've loved Star Wars since I was a little kid.
Right.
But man, I can't Marin's voice acting in this, I'm sorry, feels like the 1990s FMV games.
Oh no.
I don't know if
it's just like
that bad.
Scripted response, turn, wait, scripted response, never changed tone in voice.
Yeah.
The first game, like the character felt so alive. And in this game, it just feels like I'm saying things, respond to me. And it bothers me. It bothers me so much.
Anyway, Alyssa, do you have any feelings about the story so far? I know you're only a few hours in.
Yeah, I haven't encountered much story yet, so I can't really nitpick it too much. There really hasn't been much of a story so far besides a thing with a ship.
Right.
I don't want to spoil anything.
A thing with the ship. And
now I'm on Kobo, and I just got to Kobo, pretty much.
All right, well, let's talk about Kobo then, because I guess you only got there, but Steve and I can talk about it. It's the main planet of the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the more open world area that they have been talking up is taking place on this planet, because the first time you go there, I thought, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty big. And then you go back, you're like, oh, this is like one of 5 or 6 chunks that are this big. Okay. So it's a pretty huge planet especially compared to the first game. But it's all focused around this central town of Rambler's Reach, which is pretty neat. It's just, Star Wars always had Western influences, but it is an overdrive here. People got Southern drawls and talking about sailing up at the stables and stuff.
Oh, we're going to the saloon?
Going down to the saloon. Yeah, not a cantina. It's a saloon now. Or there's, when he gets into town, he straight up does the gunslinger with no passing, where he just walks in. He's like, "Pick on someone your own size there," and then they cut down to him like hovering his hand over his lightsaber like it's a revolver in a western. It's pretty good stuff. I'm very into it. Really digging it. And this is where a lot of your central stuff is. CB, what was your reaction when you got to Rambler's Reach?
I liked it. See, I love almost all the settings that they've done so far.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah,
just the world building. Like I said, my biggest issue is just the cutscenes, but the world building and the scene, like the scenery and everything, loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I especially do love Kobo because it's another desert planet technically, which Star Wars is very fond of. This is more of like a rocky kind of New Mexico desert, and I really like the look of it.
I would no.
Okay.
I would say this is more of a central Mexico.
Okay.
Just because of the area that you go to at Kobo.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I've been to neither place, so it's a rockier desert.
Yeah,
it's not just sand, which I do hate because it gets everywhere.
Wow. I really like Kobo. I like the area that comes after Kobo. Like all the areas that we've been to so far in this game so far. I loved all. Like, I loved the look of Coruscant. Like the fact that we actually got to go and do things. Like I loved that. But so yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm trying to dance around like talking about certain plot points.
Okay, well, going into the gameplay more, I just want to talk about the open world a little bit because it still has that gear gated nature where you're getting more abilities to access more areas.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're still in the negative zone before I start swinging it back to the stuff I love, I don't know how much you've explored, Alyssa, but CB, I don't know if you agree. Because of the open world, right? It's this huge area. It takes a while to get from A to B, even with the amounts they've included in the game.
The shortcut crap.
Yeah, well, the shortcuts are everywhere, yes, but I was talking about like just moving around takes a while, and sometimes you have to solve platforming puzzles to get it to areas and stuff. But I am finding it a little bit frustrating to explore because I would say 8 times out of 10, I get to the end of the platforming area where I solve this quick puzzle, and then I'm confronted with, well, you don't have the ability to progress here. And that's normally a thrill in a gear gated game, but because of the size of Kobo, I really don't. I'm just like, I may as well just wait until I have everything then.
Yes and no, because for the most part, there is a meditation area which unlocks fast travel for the most part near those areas.
That's true. Yeah, I guess I'm worried I'll forget about them.
Yeah, but when you go to the holo table, it gives you the percentage of the planet done. Right. So, I mean, I do feel that that's fairly that one doesn't bother me as much. When I'm exploring, I'm hating the fact that there's always enemies right in the middle of your puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the fact that enemies will appear randomly while you're doing the puzzle. Because I've had that happen on a couple occasions now.
Yeah, where they drop ship in reinforcements and stuff.
Or just you're doing a puzzle and all of a sudden their spawn path resets.
Well, they
just walk right in.
They'll chase you seemingly forever.
Yes.
Which is hilarious.
But when I kill a specific pattern of enemies that I watched walk through this area, and then start doing the puzzle in that area, and then the same enemies respawn.
Oh boy!
And walk through again, and I'm like,
oh yeah, that's no good.
That's irritating.
I wonder if that's some kind of performance bug because I don't feel like I'm experiencing that personally.
It might be. It's only happened on a couple occasions. I did have a mini boss respawn on me, so I got to kill a mini boss for a second time.
That's
which weird. Was okay. There's the one in the mines, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I loved that fight, by the way. So, but There's definitely a plethora of enemies on Kobo, though.
Right. Well, I that aspect of exploration I do like, because when you meditate, you respawn them all or whatever. So it's kind of an exciting push and pull of, do I want to keep pushing even though I only have 2 stims left, or should I take this moment to respawn or rest up and get my stims back? However, then I respawn all of the enemies. It's kind of an exciting little push pull.
Yeah, but I mean, once you get to like, I don't know how many. I've got 5 stims unlocked already.
Yeah, I have 6 currently.
I've only got 3.
So because I know
Alyssa.
you're the area ahead of me. So once you start having that amount, it doesn't bother me as much. I will say the combat doesn't feel quite the same as the first game.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the combat. What's throwing you off about the combat in this one?
Well, first off, I get to play Cal Kestis in my favorite style, which is dual blade.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
It doesn't feel the same because the first game it was Cal Kestis single blade,
Right, for most of the game.
yeah, for most of the game. But this one, like the dual blade, it feels like it's gimped a little
Okay.
because like when you go to like parry, and it's very slow to do it sometimes, or you just kind of get hung up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did one of the force missions that you find.
With like the puzzle chambers, or
where it's like fight 150.
oh yeah,
enemy.
the combat arenas. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and like if you're doing dual lightsaber and there's a bunch of enemies around you, you'll go to swing, but your arm will hit somebody.
Right.
So and like you do that, and it kind of throws your combo off. So I'm like, I love the fact that they did that, but it just doesn't feel like, I'm like, you're a Jedi. Like this should feel a little more fluid at times.
Okay. I think
Dual blade feels a little clunky.
right, and then you're not talking about the dual sided one, right? The staff.
No, like
No. Okay.
Galen Merrick style.
Right. Okay. Just making sure. Yeah, because each stance is serving a very specific function. Because you're right. If you had dual blades, you should probably just be able to twirl around and just chop down 150 droids, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's not designed for that. It does have that cool where you hold down triangle parry, where it auto parries anything.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's kind of an exciting feature. But yeah, I mean, I'm digging the extra stances personally.
I don't like the 4th because I feel it breaks a code, I guess, which I love the fact that Cal even like calls that out.
Right. Yeah.
So
though he does hand wave himself through it pretty quickly, huh?
yeah.
I love the blaster stance, which is what you're referring to.
Okay.
I feel comfortable calling out the names of them because they were all in
I was
the
going to say more
pre-release
the
stuff.
Ezra Bridger stance.
Yeah, I'm using that one all the time. I like that he trolls it around like he's an old West gunslinger after he shoots stuff.
Dude, it feels like I'm watching the movie Equilibrium.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Because
It is
like,
good.
if you notice, sometimes he will actually have his hand slightly inverted, like Obi-Wan Kenobi styling this blaster.
Yeah, and he'll shoot it like under his shoulder and stuff behind him. It's pretty cool, and it makes no sense at all. But I like the system of you get 6 shots, but you get them back by attacking enemies with your lightsaber.
Yeah, let me recharge my blaster by hitting you with my lightsaber.
Yeah, it's patently absurd, but it's fun for gameplay because it keeps you in the fight and using them, and you unlock in the skill tree the parry, the Bloodborne style parry, where the enemy goes to attack you. You can just quick draw and blast them away, which is a lot of fun. Because there's nothing says badass like parrying a sword swing with a blaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, the blaster is my main stance. That's the one I'm using the most. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh,
You're right. It does blow away kind of the idea of being a Jedi. And I only found that disappointing because they handled it within 5 seconds, where I'm like, maybe it would have been interesting if this had a little bit of a build up to it, where, maybe Bode offers him the blaster earlier and Cal's like, no, that's not the weapon of a Jedi. But then things get hard enough where he's like, okay, maybe I will use that blaster.
Blaster, like his lightsaber gets knocked away, Bode has to throw him the gun.
Yeah, something like that. But it speaks to the fact that he, within almost the same sentence, goes, I'm a Jedi, I can't use this weapon. okay, I guess I'll use it.
My master says that blasters are bad. Okay.
Right. It's but that's kind of like, it speaks to the kind of lesser writing quality of this sequel, which is very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if Fallen Order, it would have been an ordeal. The way they wrote that game, the way they wrote Cal, and in this game, it just feels a little less. It feels way more like, we got to get this gameplay mechanic to you, and I'm like, you could have done it better though.
I'm like, I have to back up for a second.
Okay, here we go.
So there are certain things in the Star Wars universe and mythology that, like, I like the fact that they stick very strong on. There is an event involving a certain bad guy when he does something which normally takes a long time to do, and they're just like, boom.
I had the exact same feeling. I know exactly what you mean.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was so pissed.
Yes.
Like, because I was like, I remember that same style of event happening both in a book and a comic. And the comic took the whole issue to address this. And they do it in under a second. I was furious.
I wasn't furious, but I was just kind of like, it was just disappointing again, because I was like, things are happening way too easily in this plot.
No. See, it pisses me off because the first game took the lore so seriously.
Right.
That there's now 2 different instances in this game where you just throw it away at a whim just to fit a plot point.
And again, which in both of those things would have worked better with a little bit more time spent on them, which is ironic because this game is so much longer that they could have, but they choose not to. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, go. Like, it just hit me because we started talking about the blaster and then it came back to me, and I was like, I'm still mad about this.
So anyway, I'm really digging the combat. I'm liking all the stances. I like switching up my stances because you only have 2 equipped at a time of the 5, which is a little goofy because it doesn't make any sense. Why would Cal not be able to just pick the stuff he knows how to do? But in terms of the gameplay mechanics, it is fun because it gives you this little, I think I'm going to be fighting a lot of groups. Maybe I should get this double-bladed, the staff style lightsaber out. So it kind of keeps you on your toes about what situations you might be facing, or maybe you prepared poorly, so now you have to adapt on the fly. I think there's a lot of fun in the stance system that I'm having. I do think the game, I'm playing on hard, and I find it to be significantly easier than Fallen Order, because I replayed Fallen Order only a couple months ago, and there were still parts that I was getting hung up on, our bosses. I've beaten every boss, I think, except for one on my first try on hard in this game. So I think they're
outside of the one mini boss, because that mini boss has the 1-hit kill.
Right.
I think I know which one you're referring to, even though I haven't got to that part in the game, but saw it.
That gave me a little trouble, but the story bosses, yes, I've rolled through them.
Yes, and I feel like your lightsaber swings do so much damage, which is surprising when you're playing on hard. Especially, on normal, I expect it to be easy, but it seems like they took the feedback from a lot of players that Fallen Order was too difficult for a Star Wars IP. And I think they took it a little bit too close to heart. That's just as someone who enjoyed the challenge of Fallen Order, that's just how I reacted to it.
I liked Fallen Order. And so because this is a Souls-like game, after playing so much time in Elden Ring and getting somewhat okay at that style of game, this one I feel like there are times where it's a little too easy, and I'm like embracing for like the hit,
right?
And then I'm like, oh, it's not coming, and I drop my guard, and then I get hit, and I'm like,
yeah, that's happened to me.
Are you enjoying the combat, Alyssa?
I am. Besides those moments where I'm like, I should probably dodge right now, and I dodge, and nothing happens, and then I get attacked. I'm like, I misread that, mistimed it, whatever. I am enjoying it though. I've unlocked 3 stances so far. Haven't really got the hang of the dual blade or the dual wield.
Yeah, dual. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like CB said, it feels a little off, or at least with when I got the stance, it felt off when I was using it during that specific moment. I was just like, this doesn't feel like it did in Fallen Order, but I haven't really used it much besides when you initially get it. But yeah, I'm having fun. I like chopping off the limbs of all the enemies and
dismemberment.
stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's in there.
I like
will say since,
Oh, good.
I was going to say, since I know the stance thing is supposed to be a thing, but since I've got dual blade, I haven't switched at all.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I'm making an active effort to do so. I feel like if I wasn't, I would just do the blaster the whole time because it's helpful for getting battle droids quickly out of the way. Just pop a couple shots off.
Oh, but that's what force push and pull are for.
Yeah, those guys are hilarious, by the way.
Yeah,
a lot of the
flankers.
A lot of the overheard conversations in this game are pretty hysterical. Platforming makes a return. It's very similar to Fallen Order. I'm trying to zoom through this because we don't want to spend an hour talking about this game. But platforming's back. I still am having a ton of fun with it. It's much like Fallen Order. I respect that there's an agency given to you, unlike like Tomb Raider, Uncharted has similar kind of traversal platforming, but it's really hard to mess up in those games. But I feel like you can here in these Jedi games, which I really appreciate. And later in the game, they start adding traps to the platforming paths, which they only did that maybe a handful of times in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
But I really like that because it's a little bit of that Prince of Persia energy I'm all about. Creeping its way into the
definitely
game.
Makes you think a lot.
I'll definitely die a lot during those seconds. I'm not
are
great
you
at
playing on
platforming.
normal?
Yes.
You'll be fine.
Oh,
well, sometimes they do damage. Sometimes they do knock you off. But because the game has a bit more open-mindedness about its platforming, you can recover pretty often sometimes. You don't always have to fall to your death. You can sometimes double jump back onto the platform or the grate you're on. There's some new ceiling platforming as well. It's just
that's cool.
A little swings you can do. I'm having a lot of fun with the platforming and exploration.
Yeah.
Oh, I am too.
Respawn, known for their wall running.
So much wall running.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
Love
there
it.
is.
There's a section on the area that you just left, Zack, where there was like 6 of them in a row.
Yeah.
And then if you actually turned around and did them in reverse while going up, there's like an item that you can get above. And I'm like, that was so much wall running. I feel like you would have fallen.
So, hey, man, he's got the Force on his side.
Okay, yes, there's the Force, but it's still so impractical that I'm like, no.
Now, speaking of, so far, I feel like we've talked about how this game is worse in every way, but I think the puzzles are better than in Fallen Order. I think they're a little bit more involved.
Bar done. They're so much better.
Very exciting. The area I'm in right now just introduced a new ability that really recolors the way you've been looking at areas, so that's pretty exciting. And yeah, I just having a lot of fun with the puzzles, a lot of brain teasers, and it's nice because they ask you if you want a hint before they just tell you the solution. Unlike a lot of modern games, every time my character tells me how to do a puzzle in Hogwarts, I want to throw my controller at the screen. but here it's like, do you want to hit? And I say, no, get away from me.
Luckily, I haven't had that many problems with it yet.
No, I'm not having any problems. Is what I'm saying. You don't have to have though.
Oh, I made sure to turn all the hint crap off
right
in the beginning. But yeah, I'm the puzzles, the puzzles and the traversal paths are just so much better.
Yes, definitely in a lot of the level design because of it. And I mean, the amount of shortcuts is hilarious, but I do appreciate that they're there so you can kind of get that quick little reward when you send down a zip line back to a meditation point.
I'm just glad that the traversal paths aren't always super obvious.
Yes, I really appreciate that.
Like there's not like the glowing line to follow or the blinking ledge. And you definitely kind of have to look around, and then you kind of appreciate the little intricacies and details in the environment. But then you're like, you know what? I think I can make that ledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cool because a lot of the wall running stuff has those little scratches on the wall, but it's not it's super in your face. They're not painted yellow or anything. But then there are a lot of stuff, where you're like, can I go there? And you're surprised to find out you can.
Well,
It's super cool.
outside of that, like even areas in Coruscant, some of the wall running, they were smooth walls.
Yeah,
So
you're
like
right.
you
yeah.
couldn't tell right away, and you're like, you know what, I think I could do that. And you just
Yeah.
try it, and then you're like, yeah. And then in your brain, it opens up like, maybe I can do more. And then you try wall running somewhere else, and you just fall to your death.
Yeah, but it rewards your brain for experimenting, which is super cool.
Yeah. So the reward, like instant gratification rewards in this game are awesome.
Yeah, speaking of which, we may as well talk about the insane customization going on in this game because, in the first game you could change basically the color of your suit, though you couldn't actually wear other ones, and you could throw on like a poncho, and that was it, And in this game, you could change Cal's hair, his facial hair, his jacket, his shirts, his pants. You could change
colors.
And then everything's got different color sets. BD1, you could customize his ears if you want to. Or his legs, all this customization. The lightsaber, of course, has a bunch of in-depth customization, which you would want from this kind of game. When you do get your blaster, you can customize that as well. Just a ton to customize in this game.
I've only done 2. I changed my lightsaber crystal to the color I always play for any game,
which is
yellow. I've
yellow,
been
okay.
yellows. I've had yellow since before, like, Ray and all that crap. Like, all the way back to the first game that you could change your lightsaber. I was like, yellow.
I was going to say, I've been a cyan guy since KOTOR 1, so I understand what you mean.
Yeah, so it's always yellow, and then I gave Cal a beard.
The full kind of bushier beard?
Oh, yeah, the my beard.
Yeah, understand. Hey, red beard is both of you.
I know.
He's got to be the only redhead male protagonist in video game history, right?
He's one of the very few.
Redheads are usually ladies. And I liked his character. I liked the same guy that he played on Shameless. So, okay, yeah.
But there's so much. I just like. I hate the fact that you can mix and match, especially on BD. Be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this one leg. Like the assembly version.
Right.
That bothers me a little.
And all the color customization.
Or you can make him dirty.
Yeah, you could change the agedness of your lightsaber as well, which is crazy.
Yeah, but I like BD1 looking clean.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. I've gotten I've gotten pristine.
I went the one just before pristine. Well kept.
Yeah, I like my lightsaber to look rugged, but I want my BD to look fresh.
My BD's pink.
Dude.
That's awesome. He's red right now for me. Red and black.
I left him the same as he is behind me.
A little default. I did for a while, but I was like, I keep getting all this stuff. I got to use it at some point, or I'm never going to use it.
I still don't want to change Cal's lightsaber because I'm like, it's an homage to your master. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I ended the first game with it was Joro Tapal's emitter on one end and then Sir Junda's on the other, and I was like, it's just two masters. So
yeah.
I gotta get Sir Junda's back, but I don't know. I changed it to one with it almost has like a little blade at the end right now, which is pretty cool.
Like the Dooku style blade at the end.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
Well, that's cool.
So I get stab fools twice if I want to. But it is, it's insane how hard they went. I got a nice little choppy forward haircut right now. He's looking very modern, very fresh.
I'm still taken aback by Sears' change.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was
got
like,
a lot less hair.
And I was like, you ain't got no hair.
See, I want to ask you, have you tried the Frontier outfit yet?
No.
Dude, I mean, it gives me serious Fallout energy, like Fallout 1 energy.
Really?
Like the leather plating on it. Yeah, just take a look at it in Doma Shop.
Might have to change that as soon as I get done recording.
That's how it made me feel. But yeah, I'm changing my outfits like every time I get like a new main quest. I'm like, time for a little switcheroo.
I went straight to the Hermit. I was like, I got to go for the Obi-Wan look.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I've avoided those ones because I don't know.
It looks good.
The Hermit does. I mean, at least when I looked at it in the menu, I was like, yeah, that would look good. But I don't know, man. That's Obi-Wan's shirt. That's not Cal's shirt.
Well, I changed the pants and the shirt, but the actual like vest part, I left
the Hermit.
same.
Understood. Alyssa, have you even gotten to most of the customizations yet?
I don't have a lot. I've pretty much just for his facial hair, I can have him shaved or not. So I just left the stubble because it felt appropriate.
You say he looks like too much of a baby without it.
Give him some pink Jedi robes.
Yeah,
I know,
fresh.
I need pink. I've only got the default outfit and the hermit outfit right now. And I don't know if I can change my lightsaber color yet. If I can, I missed that.
Oh, you have to go to the workbench to do that.
I was at the workbench and I did tinker with my lightsaber some, but I didn't see an option to change the color of the blade.
You have to press LB and RB to switch to the menus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, believe me, like as the first workbench I saw, I was like, nope, changing that, never going back. I
could see why you would miss it, because why would you expect there to be 3 menus for customizing one item?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
now I know when I get back to another workbench, I can change it, hopefully to pink.
But the last big thing you customize kind of is your main town, Rambler's Reach. You can send more people to it, and they get more shops over time. You see a little rooftop garden you get there. I think that place is fun to build up, and then the fact that it's just a straight up Wild West town really helps me out personally.
Oh, looking around the town, because you can see all the closed up shops, and you're like, I'm gonna fill all of you.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool to have this little settlement. It's got that Assassin's Creed 2 energy of Monterrey, where you're building it up and getting more shops and stuff over time. I mean, it is hysterical. You just go out in the middle of the desert and there's just a guy standing there. He's like, yeah, I'm a DJ. I'm looking for a place to play. You're like, well, okay. Funny you should ask, man. I got just a spot.
Oh, you mean the one character? It's like, oh, yeah, this door has been locked for centuries. And you just unlock the door.
Yeah.
And then, like, right on the other side, there's somebody's like, yeah, I was looking around for these things. And I'm like, how did you get in here?
That's funny. How is a lot of talk about the performance in this game? How has it been working for you guys?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really had any issues besides a little bit of texture pop in, and one cutscene was a little jittery for a couple seconds and then it smoothed back out. Other than that, really haven't had any issues.
I guess we're all lucky.
Well, so majority of the performance issues are on PC.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The only 2 I've noticed was when the game first boots up, the respawn
logo.
It's just like
that one was
really jittery.
It's so
mine
funny.
was as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it does that every time I boot it up. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the respawn one, and then there's another one that's like because there's respawn, and then the other
Electronic Arts logo, and then the Lucasfilm.
Those
one.
are both like so jittery that I'm like,
weird.
I'm like, of all the areas to like drop the ball.
I did have one hard crash when I was playing I don't know if you played the Holotable mini game yet. But it's like it's kind of a cool little tactics game where you pick your units and they just fight it out on the screen. But anyway, it hard crashed during that, which I thought was really, really weird. But a lot of because I've seen a lot of complaints about the PS5 performance, and I'm just not seeing it personally.
Well, I definitely went for performance over quality.
Yeah, I went for quality. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm on quality right now.
I'm happy I want Kobo to look beautiful. I want to look at my garden. I want those plants to pop.
Once I get through the game, then I'll switch to quality.
Do I want to miss 1 pixel of resolution on Cameron Monaghan's beautiful face? I don't think so.
Oh, that's why you just zoom in.
Zoom all the way in, baby.
I did want to bring up one thing, and it's just kind of specific. I never really had an issue with motion sickness with Fallen Order, but when I started Jedi Survivor, there's an option to turn off one thing, like when you're setting the game up, and it's like, if you suffer motion sickness, turn this off. So I did, but then I was still feeling queasy playing it, so I had to go into the menu and turn off the motion blur and turn down the camera sensitivity.
The camera turn? Oh my gosh, that camera turn is jarring.
So yeah, this one did make me a little queasy, so if anyone out there has motion sickness, that it could be an issue. You might have to tinker with it some. Because I don't remember having that issue with Fallen Order, but for some reason this one it made me queasy until I fixed those things in the menu.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if you have both of them on, Zack, start sprinting forward, stop, and then sprint in reverse real quick. And it will actually, the camera will like go past him, quick flip, and then blur back towards him.
Okay.
And I was like,
I'll
oh
try
God.
that.
Because I was
So
in the middle
weird.
of a fight and I like jumped forward with like the lunge thrust and then did the quick step backwards and it did that. And I was like, oh God, what happened?
Man, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I haven't been getting any of that, so I don't get any kind of motion blur sickness usually anyway, but
You're lucky.
interesting. I guess. I wouldn't go that far. Just lucky
So,
this
yeah.
one.
It's a delicious game.
Yeah, which is interesting to, because I can't stop playing it. You know, I keep trying to find, you know, any time to put more minutes into it. It is just like, I'm just not feeling the plot, which is really weird after I loved the first game story so much. But
yeah.
I am really, I'm hoping it all comes together by the end. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I would still recommend the hell out of it, though. I don't know about
Yeah,
you
it's a lot
guys.
of fun to play.
Highly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Highly.
I feel like-
just because of the event that you talked about with the certain type of ships, like actually seeing that,
Yeah.
because some High Republic goodness.
Right. Yeah. A lot of if you've been reading the High Republic books, your investment will be paid off in this game for sure. Yeah. It's just, I mean, and it's just great. You know, it's always great to be in the Star Wars universe, especially when it's made to such a high degree of general quality. You know, our story quibbles aside, and I know we've poo-pooed it a lot, but I'm just having so much fun with the combat and exploring the puzzle. It's got a nice rhythm to everything going on, you know, and I think the gameplay has a great pace where you're constantly doing something, you know, a little bit different. You know, you have a big fight, but then you're platforming for a while. It's just the story, however, does not have the same quality of pacing.
Yeah. I will definitely agree with you, and especially Star Wars universe where it's not the same 7 planets that we keep seeing over and over.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, we got to get Tatooine or Kashyyyk, or else how is it even a Star Wars game?
I know,
or
right?
How many times can we bash Hoth into the ground?
Right. Yes. Yep. I feel like those three, they're prerequisites, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in our From the Outside In topic. But it sounds like we would all recommend it. I guess I should note, my copy was provided by EA. I think you can guess based on my conversation, it didn't really affect my opinion, but it felt worth noting. But Alyssa, you've been playing is a much more narrative focused game with Varney Lake.
Yes, it's a visual novel.
Yes.
And
Is it? But it's like a pixelated look to it, right?
yeah, it's actually part of a trilogy, which you can play this standalone. I do want to play the first game now, since I played this, because there are ties to it, even though it is a standalone. The developers are calling this a pixel pulp game.
Okay, that's a fun term.
Which, yeah, I really like that. And this game centers on vampires, which I love. I am a sucker for vampires, pun intended.
Now, quick question. The last pixelated hit with vampires and Vampire Survivors actually doesn't have vampires? Are you saying there really are vampires in this game?
There is one vampire at least.
Oh, perfect. About time. About time you see some pixelated vampires out here.
Yeah, and he is a creepy looking vampire, I have to say.
Oh, interesting. He's not a sexy, shining in the sun kind of vampire?
No. He is not an attractive vampire, but he is a creepy vampire.
Okay.
Which works. But this actually takes place in 2 different years/decades. It takes place in 1954 and 1981, and you see the characters in the different years and how their encounter with the vampire has affected them in 1981. They're traumatized. They're being interviewed by this guy that's writing a book. But then you flash back to 1954, where they're all just spending a summer being lazy. You know, they're out of school. They're just a group of 3 friends. They've made their own club called the Only Child's Club because they're all only children.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, one day they hear a old man seemingly saying the sun from an abandoned barn. And, you know, they decide to be nice and help an old man out and cover, you know, the windows in the barn. And that's the vampire. And he just goes on his merry way. But then he for some reason wants to be friends with your group. So
He needs a friend.
What a Weird choice.
What an intriguing premise.
I'm sitting here, I'm just like thinking about that. I'm like, so a bunch of only children
Mm-hmm.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Vampire, like, oh, my son is burning me. Oh, sure, we'll help you, friend. And he's like, I guess I just won't murder you.
Now that you explain it that way, it's really funny.
That's why I'm like, it's just playing through my head, and I'm like, these are kids that like he could easily target, and he's just like, let's be friends, and I'm ugly. I'm just so confused by the plot.
It's really interesting. It does actually wrap up really well, and it does become more horrifying as the story goes along. But it does start out very lighthearted, and then it just becomes darker and darker as it goes. Ending definitely shocked me with how it ended, which I think there are 2 secret endings, so I do need to play it again.
So is it pretty short then? So you already beat it?
It only took me an hour, but I'm an extremely fast reader, and there are 3 mini games, I believe, I played in this. And to me, the mini games weren't that fun. You can play them as many times as you want, but I just played them once all the way through when they popped up, just because they weren't that fun to me. There's a fishing mini game, of course. If there's a mini game, there has to be fishing.
Right. Well,
There's a kind of unique spin on solitaire, and there's a dice game. And the reason why they're not that fun is to even move your little cursor on the screen. You don't just, like, move the analog stick or what have you. You have to select a text input that says, move to the left, move to the right, move backwards.
Oh, no.
And you have to do that every single time you want to move. And it just kind of... it just sucked the fun out. I know, the vampire pun. I'm sure some people will really get into these mini games because they do tie into the story. They're not just thrown in to be filler. They actually have a narrative purpose. But it's just they weren't fun for me. I just didn't like having to do the manual inputs to move, and just the mini games themselves just weren't that fun. So that was my least favorite part of the game. I really did enjoy the story. I love the visuals because it is pixelated, and mostly it's a color palette of yellows, greens, and blues. And the sound effects just were very nostalgic. It just reminded me of my childhood playing on my Game Boy or on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I think the game has a very cool look and feel to it.
Oh, for sure.
Look and sound to it.
And I'm just a sucker for, vampires or cryptids in general. The first game in the series was called Mothman 1966, which I love the Mothman mythology. Definitely want to play that. And there are ties to that game. They do directly reference it. Which, again, you don't have to have played it, but I'm sure it would be more helpful if you have.
Did Richard Gere do a Mothman movie? Am I remembering that right?
The Mothman Prophecies, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember liking that movie.
It was okay.
No, I like Richard Gere.
The book was...
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us with Richard Gere talk.
It's okay.
Apologies.
He's pretty. What can you say?
He is very, the gray really works for that guy. I hope I get gray hair and it works for me as well as it does him.
Just that great, like... Well, I mean, it was the salt and pepper and then straight gray. So.
Yeah, but he nailed it. There's no question.
Perfect.
Anyway, so. Pretty Woman. What a movie. Anyway, Varney Lake, though, you'd recommend that game?
Oh, for sure. Especially if you're into cryptids, vampires, what have you, because it's a short experience, but the story is really captivating. I can't say if you'll love the minigames or not. I didn't, but just because I didn't doesn't mean that other people won't. And this is a planned trilogy of standalone games that do tie into the same universe. So there will be another game coming out after this that is a different story, different creature, but we'll probably... I don't actually know what the next one is. But yeah, that would be cool.
Actually, you know what? Let's just get real. If we're gonna do more cryptids, I want skinwalkers.
Oh, that would be a really cool
legit
game.
Skinwalkers
Mechanic, yeah.
So, all right. Well, Alyssa, apparently you've been even more busy.
Yes.
You're about to answer a question for me on whether or not I'm going to play this.
Okay.
So you've been playing the Horizon Forbidden West DLC, Burning Shores.
Yes.
Exclusive to PS5.
Yes, it is exclusive.
Man, I feel like I need to take him to court.
I feel like you should. Yes, I feel like you could.
Let's do it.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt your you guys' segment.
Does this like expand upon that ending?
I'm trying to remember the ending of Horizon Forbidden West because
like I'm not spoiling that ending. Just because
I don't remember much about the ending. I remember some of it. But I had a blast playing this. I finished it already. I think it was 5 to 6 hours long. Not a lot of side stuff. I think there were 2 side quests. If there were more, they were completely hidden. But the main story is really, really interesting. You have this enemy that's brand new, and fun fact, I did not realize the enemy was Sam Witwer until I was almost finished with this game.
Yo, sign me up. I gotta play this game
I
now.
know. And like, I gotta go off topic because I love Sam Witwer. Like, they didn't do a close-up of him until near the end of the game, and they used his face and all that in the game. But he's like this hundreds and hundreds of year old man named Walter Londra. And, like, I knew the voice sounded familiar. And he's the leader of a cult, and he's looking for a new bride, which he's, like, looking at teenagers. It's creepy. But then I saw his character model up close. I'm like, you know what? I would be one of those.
Does it?
I'll be that teenager.
Because,
okay.
I mean, even with gray hair and a bushy gray mustache, Sam Witwer still has it going on.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, but if you're going to do gray and everything with a mustache, it better be Sam Elliott.
I mean, he rocks it too. But I mean, Sam Witwer, though, it works.
So okay. By you giving me the premise of like what this is about, I'm like, okay, that does not solve the ending for this game. So I'm like, perfect.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the ending because it has been a bit since I've finished Horizon Forbidden West. But
we'll talk about it after the show.
Okay. This does add a new location. You get a new companion character named Seika. I loved her. Loved her character. Loved the relationship with Aloy that she develops. You encounter a couple of new enemies they've added. There are a couple of different weapon changes. They're not different than the weapons you play in the game, but they enhance them.
Okay.
It gives you a new ending, for sure, that definitely feels like it's leading into the third game. So I would say this replaces the ending of Horizon Forbidden West. But it's also very bittersweet because this you have to have finished the game completely of Horizon Forbidden West, or the main quest completely. And as soon as you have finished the main quest, you immediately hear Lance Reddick's voice. And it's just, in the feels. So it starts off with Silence talking to you, giving you the quest. And then at the end, it's kind of a spoiler, at the end, it ends with Silence telling you some stuff that's going to lead into the next game. So you start and end the game.
Fix some of that.
Yeah, you do start and end the DLC with Lance Reddick.
That's going to be so weird going into the next Horizon game without him.
I know. Like, oh, God, no.
I don't even know who could replace him for Silence.
I would just rather not have Silence
Terry Crews
as a character, but
he feels pretty. I mean, I only played the first one, but he was pretty integral to that one.
I mean, he is integral. Yeah, I'm sure they'll replace him, but it's just it's gonna hurt.
I have a feeling like they may make an appearance and then do what they did in something else.
Right. Well, it doesn't do to speculate here.
Yeah. Man. Because he's also in the John Wick series.
Right.
I love his character there, so. Oh, well, I may think about playing it. It's just that ending made me bitter. So if it fixes it some, I will give it a whirl.
It does give you a new ending, so
Okay.
I will say that. But it's just fun. It was a little discombobulating, I guess, because you just get thrown into it, and when you haven't played the game for I don't know how long, a year or whatever, and it expects you to know the controls still. Like,
Yeah.
I had to go into the pause menu and look up the controls.
Didn't they do that with the first Horizon game when they did the DLC?
I think
Where
so,
they actually
yeah.
gave you like a quick refresher on like, this is how you do the things.
I think they did. Again, it's been several years now. But I think
'Cause
they
I
did this
remember-
one. It's just like, good luck.
Because I remember you were talking about that, Zach, where like you played the DLC and you're like, yeah, they gave you this quick little refresher.
No, I didn't play the DLC. I think that's where I first started thinking about the idea that they should do refreshers.
Okay.
Because because especially with the way DLC is nowadays, where it's usually a year or more after the game comes out. Like, why you really expect people who have just played the first game? Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. They should do refreshers. Like Elden
Yeah,
Rings has
I
that
would've-
DLC coming out. It's probably maybe 2 years after the game comes out. You know, well, I guess that game doesn't do tutorials anyway, but you know, a refresher is in order sometimes. That's all.
Man, I completely forgot that Elden Ring was doing a DLC.
Right. Yeah, but it sounds like you do recommend it overall, Alyssa, right?
If you liked Horizon Forbidden West, yes. Like, and of course you have to have played it to play this, because they will not let you play it unless you finish the main quest. But if you liked it, it's just more Horizon Forbidden West goodness, and it gives you another ending that is inevitably going to lead into a third game.
I do kind of respect that, like, this takes place afterwards, so you got to beat the
Mhm.
game first.
You do.
I don't respect that they sold the game on PS4 and then didn't put its
Yeah,
DLC on
that's-
PS4.
That feels a little crappy.
Feels a little scummy.
Mhm.
Because if the game
Sony.
could run on PS4, then the DLC can run on PS4. But
Oh, for
PlayStation's
sure.
PlayStation's going to PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't see why this DLC would not be able to be ran on PS4.
No, but you know, PlayStation just openly antagonistic towards their user base now, and here we still are. Anyway, that's not the only games we were discussing, because ancient man Scott Clark himself swung by, where he was not drunk, although I presume he is currently drunk on his cruise. But it was a lot of fun. He stopped by to talk about V Hunter Puzzler DX, which you'll listen to now. As promised, everyone, special guest Scott Clark joining me to discuss a little game he's been playing.
Hey, what's up, man?
What? Hey, yeah, how are you? Huh? It's been eons
it's
since
been
we've
a minute.
heard from you. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's going great right now because I'm not at home. I'm in somewhere in the Caribbean, probably while you're hearing this, or while you're recording the main episode, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I'm probably busy recording the main episode. Furious that I'm not playing Star Wars instead.
Probably. Yeah.
That's probably what's happening.
Great review, by the way. I loved listening. to
Yeah,
it.
I'm
It was
so happy they
awesome.
did all the things I was hoping it would do.
If you can't tell, guys, we record this before the regular episode.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, but yeah, you're here to talk about V Hunter Puzzler DX.
Uh-huh.
That's a real mouthful of a title.
Yeah.
From an indie developer, Yatch Games, correct?
Yatch Studios,
Yatch
actually.
Studios. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
And this is I was watching the trailer. It looks like a little puzzle combat game sort of deal. A little wizard
Yeah.
guy.
Did you say wizard?
Is that right? He had a little hat on, right?
He has a little hat. I think it's supposed to be more like a vampire hunter. Like.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah. Because he's a V hunter, of course. Yeah.
V-hunter,
Silly
yeah,
me. Yeah. More of a tricorn
Yeah,
hat
so-
then.
I got to give a shout out to Dan Lungaro, who just randomly emailed me and said, "Hey, I'm a developer of this game, and would you mind checking it out?" And I was happy to do so. It is a PC game. It's available on Steam, and it's going to be available on Steam. I do not remember the exact release date, but me not being a PC guy, I've just got my lowly Steam Deck.
Right.
and
Your
it
lovely.
does-
Here we go. Steam Deck Master Race again.
yeah, right. I said lowly. I said lowly.
Yeah.
Steam Deck.
The fake hubris there.
But it works perfectly on my Steam Deck. This is a like you mentioned, it's an indie title. It's a very small title, but I'm enjoying it. If you remember a while back, I reviewed a game. It's kind of in the similar vein. It was called Dr. Kabushi's Labyrinthine Laboratory. If you remember me talking about that game at all.
Rolls right off the tongue, that name.
I know. Yeah, it's just, we got to talk to these devs about the titles for these styles of game. But this game is very similar to that in that it is a tile-based puzzle game. Where every time you make a movement across the grid, the enemies also get to move that many pieces. And the idea is just to clear each map and then make it to a portal to go to the next one. Pretty simple concept. However, this one is much, much easier and accessible than the previous game I was talking about. When I reviewed the Dr. Kabushi's, I'm not going to say the entire title every time, but when I reviewed that game, I was talking about how the developer called that the Cuphead of puzzle games, and he was not joking. That game, like by puzzle 3 or 4, had me ripping my hair out because there's only one solution to every single level. You make one error, and it's done. And in this one,
it's more free form in this one.
Very much so, and it actually ramps up the difficulty in a way that's very very nice. I played through the first world like in 24 minutes, I think, and there's like 5 or 6 different worlds.
Okay. Hey, we love that. We love a short game here.
Well, yeah, I don't know how much more difficult it's going to get yet. I'm still very early on. I have not completed it, but I'm planning on getting through it much more this weekend. Hopefully on a plane or something like that.
Right.
So,
drifting in the Caribbean seas.
Yeah. So the way this game works is, like I said, every time you move, the enemy moves, and there are different types of enemies, and they have a little counter number on them. So the enemy actually stays still until the counter reaches 1. As long as you are not standing next to the enemy when their turn reaches 1, you're safe.
Okay.
So your goal is to reach next to them when their counter is 2 or higher, and then attack them, and then they turn into a pool of blood, and then you can go on. That's the basic control scheme or mechanics of this game. Where it gets more complex is the different enemies that it throws at you. So, skeletons can have a counter of 2. Mummies have a counter of 3, and they can move diagonally. So it's all about learning the structure of each enemy type. It even gets more complicated. Like there are vampires, as you would imagine. The game is called V Hunter Puzzler DX.
You gotta hunt some Vs out there.
Right. So the vampires, you can't attack directly. You have to find a random, it's not random because it's the same time for each level, but there's a bottle of holy water somewhere on the map. So before you can attack them, you have to get the holy water, and then figure out how to get next to them in order to be able to attack the vampire.
A little extra layer to it.
Yeah, and the vampires are even more difficult because not only they don't have to be right next to you. Like, if you are in the vicinity of them on any horizontal or vertical grid line, it attacks you. So, you have to know each individual enemy pattern to know how to avoid them, which when you're dealing with one enemy at a time, not a problem, right? But when you've got 4 vampires on the screen at one time, things can get a little hairy.
Thankfully, gotta get a little crafty.
Exactly. Thankfully, the game doesn't punish you for the number of moves you make. It does record how many grid moves you make on the map, but there's no punishment for it. It's more of a leaderboard high score kind of situation where I finished that level in only 12 moves.
Does it shame you? Give you like a score at the end of each level or anything, like a grade?
It doesn't give you a grade. It just tells you the number of moves.
Okay,
and then you can actually go back and replay each level and look and see what you got and try to beat that score. I haven't discovered an incentive to do that yet outside of bragging rights. When I say leaderboard, and I have not seen an actual leaderboard, I just meant more like bragging rights. Like, hey, I finished level 1-7 in this many moves, and try to beat it kind of situation. So, like I said, I'm very early on, but I'm pleasantly surprised. It's fun. It's so nice playing a game like this and not feeling like super stressed. Yeah, seriously, that other one made me feel like I was I'm a relatively intelligent fella.
Sure, you do educate our youth of the country.
I do my best, and that game made me feel pretty dumb. This one makes me feel like I have more of a chance. It's a lot more accessible. Again, only 2 worlds in, so it definitely has the potential to ramp up because it
right. But that's good game design, right? It should ramp up over time.
Right. I can't explain how much I appreciate that this game, starts out super simple and then just slowly adds the difficulty as I go. But And it's also nice just to be able to just kind of back off and reset. If I'm counting the number of moves and I'm like, oh, I can't go in for the attack right now. I'm the perfect number away for him to attack me, so I got to back off and rethink. And you're not punished for it, at least not yet. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what the other enemies do. I mean, I know it's pretty simplistic in terms of number of movements or what direction they can move, but I'd like to see what else they can do. So it's very it's pixelated. It's not anything that's going for
right. And there's no story, right?
Not that I've seen. It's very much just themed. It's themed around being a vampire hunter and fighting different kinds of monsters, but very grid based. Very the only control you really have is the directional pad. You're just moving, at least as to the point that I am.
Right. Yeah, nice simple game.
Yeah, and I don't mean this to sound like a negative on it. This feels like it would be a great game, like a cell phone type game, where you can play a quick round here and there instead of busting out the old Steam Deck, because I think it's a little bulky to do. But
I wouldn't know, because I'm just a regular old peasant here.
We gotta get you a Steam Deck, man. It's pretty fantastic. It was my Vampire Survivors machine for a while, but
going from vampire to vampire here.
Exactly. It's my vampire gaming system,
right?
Apparently.
You're certainly the type.
Yeah. So thanks to Dan for reaching out. I am gonna play through it, and there will be a written review on the site eventually down the line. But nice little game. It's worth checking out if you like puzzlers.
Right. So it's V Hunter Puzzler DX. Let's go back to the regular show, where I'm no doubt awkwardly flirting with Alyssa and making CB incredibly uncomfortable.
I would be disappointed otherwise.
Wow, what an amazing conversation we had, right? Anyway, sorry. That's bad. We have a Facebook community over at facebook.com/group/thegocast, where I presume conversations occur. I would not know. But we wanted to welcome some new members over there: Bubba Miller, Benji Mao, Anastasia Mao, Ryan Weisner, John Hughes, Nicole Hoppert, and Brandon Jones, which maybe this was the list from last week. I'm not totally sure. But if it was, you got double shouted out. But we also have a Discord where you can communicate with us, or you can find the link over at thegamingoutsider.com. We're always welcoming of iTunes reviews if you guys ever want. But always be sure to check out our actual website, thegamingoutsider.com, where you can find our written reviews, where I'm sure I will have a review shortly for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm sure Alyssa will have one up for Varney Lake probably fairly soon, if her editor ever gets around to doing his job. But always check out our website, please. We put a lot of work and effort into the actual written word, knowing full well that most people don't like to read. So,
which is a shame.
It sure is. But without further ado, let's jump into our From the Outside In topic. With the release of Jedi Survivor, it was time to channel the proper spirit of Disney and follow their greatest tradition, synergy. But instead of doing the typical "what's your favorite Star Wars game" kind of topic, I want to ask you guys something a little bit more specific. What have been your favorite locations or planets to visit in Star Wars games? And what kind of places stood out as so memorable with the "I can't believe I'm actually here" kind of mindset? Which Star Wars stuff came to mind. Why don't we just start with Scott real quick, since he wanted to write it and he just could not be part of the show. He wrote in, "There's been so many, but the one that I keep coming back to is visiting the Death Star in The Force Unleashed. Walking through those chambers, just knowing that the energy that destroyed Alderaan flowed right where you were standing was a pretty awesome feeling. It's especially cool in that, this is Zack now. It's especially cool in those moments because you while they were test firing the big lasers or whatever, so you actually had to dodge the main firing cannon of the Death Star. That was pretty cool. What about you, CB? Any levels stand out to you?
Oh, Zepho.
Zepho, yeah. Hell yeah.
Loved Zepho. And
it's
any
Fallen
area,
Order. Fallen Order, in case anybody doesn't know.
Any area in any Star Wars game where it's like a junkyard that you can go exploring through things. I love that.
Yeah,
too.
I can't remember the name of it in the first Force Unleashed game. That opening
with the Star Destroyer scene.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
or maybe that was later. But either way, it was when Sam Witwer was all covered up in bandages and stuff because the atmosphere was so toxic. And you fought that crazy guy who rebuilt the Jedi Order out of metal. If you remember that, yeah, that was cool.
That is the exact area I love. That was also I can't remember the name of it, but
yeah, I want to say it's Praxis something.
I think so.
Raxus Prime.
Okay, so Raxus Prime.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Sure
Loved that. So those are like two of my favorites, just because they're so distant from like the typical same 7 that's in like every single thing ever.
Right.
Because don't get me wrong, I like Hoth. If I had to choose like from like most of them, Tatooine. I mean, that's kind of like one of my favorites.
Right. I mean, Tatooine's great, of course.
Oh yeah.
I just love the design of Mos Eisley and Mos Espa. So
yeah,
where it's a little different. But yeah, I like the junkyard levels, just because as you're traversing through them, you can find things.
Yeah,
just be reminded
of all of the stuff you've lived before.
Yeah, you've watched The Bad Batch, correct?
I have not actually.
I haven't either.
Oh,
sorry. It's tough. It's tough with Star Wars, man. It's all the time.
Yeah, but they do the same thing where they go to a junkyard area, and like you can start to see the different ships from the different eras of Star Wars.
Oh, that's cool. It's kind of like Braca in Fallen Order, the first level.
Yeah,
where they were like decommissioning stuff from the prequel era as well as the original trilogy.
Yep, and like I love those because then it's like, oh yeah, there's like a Venator class, and there's an you know the Indictor class Star Destroyers.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
So like anytime you see those, I'm like just like, oh, that's really cool. But yeah, memories, like anything that takes you down like memory lane from another era.
Sure.
So
okay. Did you have any others or? No?
Those are the ones that stick out the most for me, just because, like I said, anything outside of the norm. Because Coruscant's fun.
Of course, yeah, Coruscant's always fun. Yeah, the Star Wars 13 would have been a whole Star Wars Coruscant game.
Don't remind me.
But Alyssa, you said you're a newer kind of Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah, I would say within the last decade.
And are there any Star Wars levels in video games that stick out for you? Then I don't know how many you've played. You know,
I'm gonna make an embarrassing confession and say I've only played Jedi Fallen Order and now Jedi Survivor. I have, and I did play a little bit of Lego. I can't remember if it's Lego Star Wars 1 or 2. It's probably, I don't know, with my nephew back when I was 14 or 15. I don't know. I can't remember. But he got so angry at me because we were playing co-op and on the same team. But I was eliminating more stormtroopers than him, so he just walked over and unplugged the Xbox 360 just immediately.
Sore loser, I see.
I'm like, nephew, we're on the same team.
No, we're not.
Yeah, no.
He's like,
not
no,
anymore.
I can't have a girl do more. He actually told me that. He's like, I can't have a girl doing better than me.
Terrible. What an outdated mentality, you know?
Well, he's a lot older now, so.
He's grown.
Yeah, there's only 8 years between us, so.
Well, are there any Fallen Order planets that do stick out for you then?
I did really like going to Kashyyyk. I know it's a very cliche answer, but it was just cool to see that. Otherwise,
well, I guess, for you, it would have been a novelty because it was your first Star Wars game.
Yeah, it was.
Whereas if you've been playing your whole life, you're like, the 50th Kashyyyk.
Yeah. I do want to play some more Star Wars games because I feel like I really missed out on KOTOR and maybe the first Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
which opens on Kashyyyk.
Okay.
You can play both of them. It's just the second one's not as good as the first.
Okay.
Yeah, just play the first one. I'm a little surprised you haven't played KOTOR then as a new fan because it's so good.
KOTOR is definitely a wide variety.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I definitely need to play it. I think I have it digitally, I think.
It's on
I
the
need
Switch.
to fix it. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Star Wars. Like, it just took me forever to get into it because my uncle tried to show me the movies when I was a kid. I was the biggest scaredy cat as a kid, and as soon as I went to the Mos Eisley cantina scene, all the different species just freaked me out, and he had to, like, eject the VHS tape.
Fascinating.
And then my mom, for some reason, well, probably because my stepdad loves Star Trek, and I don't want to go into the history of my mom and my stepdad, but anyway, he's a huge Star Trek fan, so I think that might have colored my mom's view on Star Wars when I was a child. So she would never let me watch the Star Wars movies.
It was definitely are you a Trek fan or a Star Wars fan for the longest time, but now it feels like everybody's kind of both.
Yeah, so I didn't actually get to watch any of the Star Wars movies until The Force Awakens, and then I made my dad watch the original trilogy with me, and then I watched the prequel trilogy. So I had a very late start to Star Wars, pretty much.
Did you finally jump into Star Wars because you thought Kylo Ren was dreamy?
I never had a thing for Kylo Ren.
Oh,
Thank God.
No.
Oh, he's great. He's the best part of that trilogy.
No.
Oh, hell yeah.
No.
Hell yeah.
I'm a Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
man,
I was all about Poe Dameron.
Poe was very awesome and very handsome. He should have kissed Finn. What's going on there?
I know.
You know what? I'd have been down for it.
They had more chemistry than any other couple in the franchise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was it really felt for a bit that I'm like, are we building the bromance? And then they're like,
no.
no, Finn's gonna go with Rose for a bit, and I'm like,
oh yeah, that was weird.
I didn't like it.
Anyway, Kylo Ren, we all agree he's the best. What a lightsaber! I like his crackling with energy.
I did like his lightsaber
because it's broken,
just like he is.
Yeah, but
it's appropriate
because he couldn't commit to the bleeding of his crystal because he was always fighting the good in himself. What a character, guys. I mean, he's just unbelievable.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Adam Driver.
Yeah.
So
they ended him dirty. Anyway, I guess I will talk about some Star Wars levels. KOTOR is a rich tapestry of excellent locations. I mean, you're invading the Sith Academy on Korriban. The opening area of Taurus is so cool because you kind of just see a little bit of people just living, regular life, and all the soup races and stuff, and the Undercity, a lot of cool stuff. But in terms of KOTOR, the two standouts are, unfortunately, I hate to say it, Tatooine, and KOTOR is amazing. Just all the stuff, the sand people and stuff. I mean, it is lame always seeing Tatooine, but I feel like KOTOR's take on it was exceptional.
The problem is almost every time we do Tatooine, it's the same two locations.
Right. But you do get to go to the Tusken Raider camp and kind of coerce with them, which I don't really remember spending a lot of time with the Tusken Raiders before that, in Star Wars fiction.
Yeah.
But my favorite planet in KOTOR is Manan, the sea planet with all the bickering fish people, but it's cool because there's embassies of both the Republic and of the Sith Empire. So, but they can't really attack each other in the streets. So it's all this like backroom politicking and trying to spy on each other. And it's just a cool setting. And it's just, it's beautiful looking out. Instead of seeing the usual desert or trees you get with Star Wars, it's nice you just look out and it's nothing but ocean, just bright, sunny ocean.
Have we ever gotten a Mon call?
Oh, I don't think so in a game. No.
Yeah. Like I don't think that's ever been even done.
Yeah. So I guess there's room for that.
Yeah.
But not too far removed from it. It's cool and hanging out with the Selkath, the natural residents there. It's just a ton of fun. I did really like infiltrating the Fortress Inquisitorius at the end of Fallen Order. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler for a 4-year-old game. Apologies, but it was cool. It was a cool place, and yeah, I mean, there's just tons of back in like the Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy games. I remember, I think it's Jedi Academy where there's a mission where you're on a train as it's speeding through Coruscant or Nar Shaddaa, one of the city planets. But it's such a cool little high octane set piece of a level because you're trying to fight your way to the front of this train while it's blasting through this populated city. It's pretty cool level. Is Nar Shaddaa, have we ever seen that in the movies, or is that just a Star Wars game.
I think that's just game.
But it was in so many games. That's so interesting.
Well, that's the problem is like there's so many that have either been just movie or just game, but
right.
That's the great thing about Star Wars is like if they, well, I guess there was a bunch of stuff in Galaxies.
Oh, well, that's a whole tale unto itself.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we jump over to the community over at Facebook? CB, why don't you read the first comment here for us?
All right. Well, Joel Solinsky wants us to know, for me, it was watching the movies as a kid and seeing Hoth for the first time. Growing up in Wisconsin, the landscape was very relatable. My friends and I spent a lot of time reliving the battles while playing outside in the winter. Yeah.
I mean, the Hoth level in Shadows of the Empire is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one was really good. What is it? Rebel
Strike or Rebel Alliance? Rogue Squadron?
Rogue Squadron. The second one where they actually did
Rebel Strike.
They did that one pretty nice. Flying around in the snow speeder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it Rebel Alliance was the one that occasionally you had the shooting in the hallway scenes?
I think that was Rebel Strike.
Because that one
I'm sorry, no, Rebel Alliance. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
I wish they would go back to that one.
I can't remember the damn subtitles. But anyway, yeah, I thought the game was great as well. Mm-hmm. Big fan. Yeah, Alyssa, do you want to read the next comment and then we can rotate from there?
Sure. Brandon Smith writes, the first things that come to my mind are, and this is me speaking, I don't know how to pronounce this first planet.
Ilum.
Ilum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ilum, getting to finally go to this planet for the first time in Jedi Fallen Order felt a bit magical. After seeing Jedi younglings undergo the Gathering trials in the Clone Wars animated series, where they must collect their first Kyber crystal in order to construct a lightsaber, it was bittersweet seeing what the First Order had begun to do to the planet, especially knowing its horrible fate in The Force Awakens. Kashyyyk. The first time I remember getting to visit the Wookiee homeworld was in the first KOTOR, and it was a neat change of pace from the rest of the locations in the game. Since then, it's appeared in several other Star Wars games, and it's always an interesting place. Coruscant and Nar Shaddaa. Both of these worlds feel very similar to me, with their neon lights and planet-sprawling megacities. Both are havens for crime syndicates and all variety of corruption and illicit activities, and I'm all for it. Just put me on a speeder and take me to the nearest Twi'lek cantina. My Republic credits will do fine.
I want a topless Twi'lek. Come on, you can say topless.
I didn't know if I could say it.
Oh yeah, you can.
Okay, it was topless.
Topless Twi'leks, I'll be there immediately. I downloaded those mods when I was younger.
Man, Ilum, yeah. That was a fun one. But yeah, like I think that there's so many people that don't know that that's Starkiller Base.
That's probably true, but it is cool if you do know that you can see that they're already working on it. That, the First Order is already kind of building in the background, right?
Yeah, because you can see the trench.
Yeah, so that's pretty darn cool. I guess it shows you that Snoke. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Snoke was never real, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Anyway, there's something building in the background. That's what's important.
I think it's kind of cool because, especially with, so you had Ilum in Fallen Order, whereas in this one we have Jeddah.
Right. Yeah.
Which I'm like, hey, there was one of the other like Kyber planets.
Yeah, Ilum was a great level because it was also a little haunting because you still had to like kind of do those Jedi trials to get through it, but there's nobody there, so it's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
It was a cool level. It was great, is what I'm saying. And Nar Shaddaa always rules. I could live my whole life never doing another Kashyyyk though.
Yeah, I'd be okay. Okay. For me, like Nar Shaddaa kind of reminds me more of like Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd than Coruscant.
Yeah, Narshada
Yeah.
always felt like almost like a pirate city to me. Like this is
It
where all
was
the
a little-
criminals go to hang out.
Little grimy, grungy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And sure, the lower levels of Coruscant are like that, but on the top, it's kind of tries to be this, good-looking
The
political
gleaming
thing.
city.
Yeah. Whereas Nar Shaddaa makes no bones about what it is.
Yeah, it's like we're disgusting. We know.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, we can find it for you for a price. But Sean Coates wrote in, Mos Eisley, I'm always down to clown in Desert Town. More specifically in the original Battlefront games. The Mos Eisley map was great for taking out enemies from up high with all those rooftops. I'd often pick a soldier class that had jetpacks and went hop from rooftop to rooftop, picking off enemies on the street below. Another honorable mention would be the Gaul spaceport level from Shadows of the Empire. It was the longest level in the game, split into two parts, navigating narrow paths of the deep canyons, acquiring the jetpack for the first time, and squaring off against Boba Fett in a boss battle. Yeah, that level was tough as hell. Because you could easily just fall right on off to your death.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool though.
Shadows of the Empire. Please give us a remake.
Yeah, I wonder if they would. They must be willing to do that, right? Because they're going to make a KOTOR remake, and that's going to have to be Legends.
I feel that some of these legends are finally just going to get morphed back in.
Yeah, I don't think you can squeeze Dash Rendar into the new Disney canon
I
as
think
he
you could.
was.
I think you could.
But I would love a remake that was just straight up, make it Legends or whatever. But because that game had so many great levels. Remember the train level where it ended with you in the junkyard fighting IG-88 or whatever.
Yep. Well, I mean, the Outrider's already in.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Which is it's like a fun nod in the background or whatever, right?
it doesn't matter. It's there, man.
Fair. Hey, all right, understood. Understood. Apologies.
So I liked the Outrider more than the Falcon. So
Well, I like the Ebon Hawk more than the Falcon. I feel like either of those opinions will get you shot dead in the Star Wars streets.
yeah, they're just. I like the Ghost better than the Falcon.
All right, yeah, we better calm down before we get canceled.
All right, moving over to Discord. Carmel Bear, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. 15-year-old me playing Shadows and controlling a snowspeeder in 3D, and then playing Racer, seeing everything fast and crazy was a mind-blowing experience. I remember playing the first level of Shadows, Battle of Hoth, over and over, getting excited about bringing down AT-ATs. I'm more than positive that I played that level over 100 times, and I'm quite certain that was my first immersive gaming experience. Yeah. That's the problem is I feel that of all the Hoth levels in all the games over the years, I've taken down hundreds of AT-ATs.
Yes. Although I do remember me and my brothers playing that opening Hoth level over and over again. So
yeah,
I'm probably there with Carl Bear on count.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, for me, the only one that I replayed hundreds of times was any of the Racer levels.
Yeah,
just
this game's so good.
It is. I still need to play Racer's Revenge.
It's not as good.
I know.
Well, I think it's on PS4 if you want to play it.
I have a copy on the PS4. I just haven't opened it.
All right. I was just making sure you knew that it was there. That's all.
I will say though, I know Old Man Clark loves the game, but the Star Wars arcade trilogy that's scripted Rail Runner.
Yeah.
I don't know why he loves that game so much.
Well, it's part of his tradition at this point.
I know, but it's not that good.
I don't know. He's not here to defend it, unfortunately, because I don't really see the appeal either.
I don't really know anything about it, but
take the Endor speeder bike, the Hoth, AT-AT, and the Death Star, specifically Death Star 2, and run those over and over. That's all you do. Man, you know what? Which one I forgot? Fighting in the Maelstrom in Squadron.
Oh wow!
That was a
Yeah.
fun set design. I
Yeah.
liked that too.
It was cool.
So, all right, Alyssa, you're up.
Okay. Alan Chick writes, those Space Assault levels and Battlefront 2 2005 were great. I have never been able to enjoy any of the more recent flight levels. Battlefront 2 2017's flight is way too hard. I spend most of the time dying. Though it was cool to play Squadrons in VR, but I thought the flight in general was a little boring in that game. Something about the original Battlefront 2 hit the sweet spot.
I think he's right. I think most Star Wars flight games will be chasing that dragon for a while.
Yeah.
Is the
Though-
last great kind of flight one.
Squadrons, I did love my A-Wing, man.
No, Squadrons is fun, but Battlefront 2 had something that was like, it was still arcadey, but it was fun. It really hit the right balance, I guess, for me. Because Squadrons a little bit more, it had all those cool little kind of simmy elements to it where you had to like move your power around or whatever,
Yep.
which was fun.
Lower my shield, increase the weapons.
Yeah, and I love that stuff for Squadrons. It's just like Battlefront 2 had the quick kind of like pick up and play kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
The original.
TIE Fighter, increase weapons, increase speed, which we go on.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was cool. Much appreciated that. But then finally, last comment here is from Drew Ross, who said, Star Wars KOTOR on Tatooine, when you go into the Sand People's camp and through HK-47 translating, you learn about their ancient history. Always thought that was really cool. It was super cool. HK-47's always cool. He'll shoot all the meat bags he can.
Oh. Have you ever played the original NES Star Wars game?
Oh, man, not probably 20 years, 25 years
That
ago
is,
or something.
that is the worst rendition of Tatooine ever.
Dude, I have... I mean, I can like remember playing it, but I can't really remember it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we didn't talk about... actually, I know if Scott was here, he would have talked about the Super Star Wars trilogy, because I know he loves those to death.
Yeah. They're fun. They're hard.
Yeah,
I remember. They're fun. I mean, there's also like a really cool GBA game called Star Wars the Trilogy. Like maybe The Apprentice of the Force or something like that, but where you play through all three games as Luke, all three movies as Luke. That was pretty fun. I mean, there's tons of... There's a history of incredible Star Wars games.
Oh, was it Mustafar for the Vader game, Vader Immortal?
Oh, I never played that one.
Yeah, I didn't get to play that either.
Oh, wandering around in that game was a blast.
Rub it in, why don't you?
Too bad. Hey,
Maybe I'll pick it up on my VR2 for $550.
barf. No thanks. You can still get it on your VR1.
Yeah, well, I'd also rather just get the Quest or whatever.
Yep. And then you don't have to worry about wires.
Yeah. Well, that about does it for Star Wars level, and that also does it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you, Alyssa and CB, for being here, as I continue to flounder as a host on these episodes.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Appreciate it. Thanks also for talking to me for like 45 minutes about Jedi Survivor. And thank all of you for listening to that as well. This episode of The Gaming Outsider is produced by Kevin Hollingford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Also, you could find Stemage at stemagemusic.com. Alyssa, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners before we get out of here?
Well, I'm sure most people that actually like this franchise have already seen the movie, but I recently watched Scream 6. It was a great time. More brutal than I thought it would be. And I really liked how they took the story in new directions. All I'm going to say, but if you're a fan of the franchise, this is one of the best entries.
Ghostface in Manhattan.
Yes, Ghostface.
They should not have called it Scream.
Because nobody screams, or...
No, it's not the same. At this point in time, rebrand it, call it Ghostface, or just lean into the lore and just call it Stab. Because without the original...
That would be cool, yeah.
Without the majority of the original cast now, I'm like, it's not the same. But
Yeah, there was only one returning member this time around.
Two.
Yeah, 2.
There are 2. So, yeah. At this point in time, like I said, let's evolve the franchise, because without Wes Craven, it's not the same. Not saying it's not a bad movie. I enjoy the heck out of it. But let's give it a little bit of a rebranding. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre anymore, they just call it like Leatherface or whatever they're going to call it this time around.
So should they have just called it Ghostface in Manhattan?
Yeah. I would have been okay with that, because then it would have been more in line with the original messages of the original Scream movies, where it's like, oh, this one's about sequels, this one's about trilogies, or building a legacy movie. At that point in time, they're like, yeah, we're blatantly ripping off Jason Manhattan, and we know it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it, unfortunately.
So it was a fun movie, though.
What about you, CB? Got any recommendations before we get out of
I
here?
have my movie of the year already.
Oh.
Evil Dead Rise.
It's a great movie.
Dude, it's freaking great. I've watched it twice now.
Wow.
Oh.
And I'm loving the fact that they're like, yeah, we want to continue this franchise and make a new Evil Dead film every 2 to 3 years. I'm in.
I'm not in, because so far it's been nothing but bangers. So the more you put out, the more you risk it not being very good.
Here's the thing, man. I agree with you. Like, because I believe it was you that they were like, yeah, they went some places. They stepped up their game.
Yeah.
The fact that like even kids weren't safe in this movie.
Loved it. Yeah, nobody was safe.
I'm loving it, because as long as it's one of the few horror franchises right now that I feel is just like taking that risk and being like, we're going to keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just hear Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi talk about how they want to explain the lore and how they have like a franchise Bible now, and I'm like, no, you've done so well being so restrained so far. I hope it's all great. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm eating crow in a few years where I'm all in on the Evil Dead multiverse or something. But
knowing Sam Raimi, he's going to give it enough respect where it doesn't become the Saw franchise and be like, we need to make 3 movies to correct the mistake that we made in this movie, but meanwhile making 6 more plot holes.
That's what I'm hoping for. Now, CB, as a big Evil Dead fan, as a big fellow Evil Dead fan, where does it stand in your rankings for the franchise?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, you love it that much.
Yeah, because for me, it's always going to be the OG,
the first Evil Dead.
The first Evil. I loved the first Evil Dead.
Yeah.
For me, it's Evil Dead, the original, Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2016, then Army of Darkness.
Okay, when I say it was Evil Dead 2013. But
2013.
Yes. Wow, Army of Darkness at the bottom. I just went too far into the goofy direction for you.
But here's the thing. For me, they're all unbelievably solid films. It's just when I'm watching a horror franchise, like, I expect different things.
Okay, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love Army of Darkness, but I feel that it was a bit more of a spoof on the series.
Yeah.
While maintaining some of its original ideas. Because when you look at Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2, like Evil Dead 1 tried to make a horror movie, came out campy, came out great. Evil Dead 2, they're like, let's lean more into the campiness. And I'm it's
perfect.
even better. Yeah. So
no, I mean, much like you, I think all 5 of them are excellent. I was just surprised. I think Evil Dead Rise is number 5 for me, but it is also incredible. I just love all the rest of them so much.
I am going to watch this. I just can't do it alone.
Ooh, I would for you. I would definitely not. It's just I love some of the shots in this, especially like through the peephole.
Yeah.
Because it's just that distorted reality shot that I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah, no, I need to rewatch Evil Dead 2013 because it's been a few years, but I feel like it just edges out Rise, but it could go either way.
Fair enough. So,
yeah. As for me, I got nothing. I've been playing nothing but Star Wars since we last spoke, pretty much, or Hogwarts. So I got nothing. I saw Renfield and Evil Dead, but that was a few weeks ago now. A couple weeks ago, or 1 week ago. When the hell those movies come out? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Either way, I haven't been doing anything but reading more Lonesome Dove as I try to get through this 850-page novel where the text is so tiny you need a magnifying glass. But I'll get through it. Gosh darn it.
I've read books like that too. It always feels so good when you finish, but it's just
Wait, Lonesome Dove is in like Lonesome Dove the Western?
Yeah, that's what everyone...
It is a book.
Right. It was
actually
a book first.
series.
I completely did not know that.
Yeah. It's a big old chunky boy.
Oh, he's going to show it to us.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at this,
Oh, yeah.
the big guy.
That's a big boy.
This is really plays for the audio.
Sparkly cover.
But look at that tiny little text in there. This means nothing. This means absolutely nothing to this audio podcast, but gosh darn it, I had to show you guys.
It is a chunker.
Yeah.
Oh, I finished Cinema Speculation by Quentin Tarantino. That was a good book. All about 70s cinema. If you want his, he talks about race an awful lot. So I guess if you ever want to know Tarantino's thoughts about black people, there you go.
Wow. That's a bold book to put out.
Yeah. I mean, it's all positive stuff.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's just, it's a bold choice to be putting in print.
Yes. Yeah. Through the lens of 70s cinema. But it was great. It made me watch the movies for the first time and stuff. And yeah, so if you like Tarantino,
I do.
It's an interesting way to get to some more of his thoughts. But until next week, I'm Zack Parkerson with Alyssa White and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are the Gaming Outsider. Definitely not Scott Clark. We're not him. But remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.